Hello.
Amazing. Thanks,
Good
Devendra.
morning. I'm
Very good
Rajila.
morning. Hey, Regina.
Yeah, I'm Rajila, and I believe time management is to complete task within a particular time, whatever has been assigned or has to be done uh, and completed. And yet you have many other things to also complete. You are able to complete everything, and yet you have enough time. In other words, organizing yourself.
Thanks,
Hi,
Regina.
this is Ajit here.
Hey, Ajit. Good morning.
Time management for me is equal to money management when it comes to business. When it comes to myself, it is my management.
Thanks, Ajit. Yes, Supra.
Hi and good morning, everyone. As for me, time management is about prioritizing because every day doesn't remains the same. And when you know about your next day, it's about prioritizing which task at the top one and which at the next, so that we can effectively utilize our day. Again, the same thing, prioritizing the most priority on the top and the least priority, which can be like could be ignored. Like let's assume I have my class, I have to party, I have to keep a priority which I have to get in. Like the same way, it's about me choosing which one to go ahead with. Yeah.
Thanks, Supra.
Hi,
Yes,
this is
Geetika.
Arun here.
Hey, Arun.
I'll let Geetika go first.
Yeah, thanks. Hi everyone. Hi Sumit sir. So I agree with Supra more or less, and I believe that everybody, all of us have 24 hours. So prioritizing and assembling our time in a way that we are able to, get the things done on time effectively, and prioritizing what is most important to us and finishing that off first. So
Thanks. Yes, Tina.
For me, time management is all about the energy management. Whatever we do, we always left with a full energy. So once we are not managed with the time, definitely it is a complete drain of the energy, and we are mess up with the things. So time management should be with the energy management. Once you are sustained with the energy, you can manage everything.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, Arun.
Hi, to me, time management is managing your time effectively, prioritizing, of course, they've all said, that can come by having a to-do list.
Yeah. To-do list is one of our techniques to effectively manage your time. Thanks, Arun, for bringing the topic in the room. Anybody else would, like to contribute what time management is for you? I think Anushri, we have Anushri here.
Hi, my name is Anushri, and for me, time management is the ability to use the time effectively or productively, especially at work.
Thanks, Anushri. Yes, Aparna. Okay. Bharat, you're there?
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bharat, and according to me, time management is efficient working and increasing productivity.
Nice. Okay, there is some name with, probably they must have not entered their name. It's reflecting to me as Dell. So I
Okay,
would
hi.
like to know who is this. Hi.
Jasmine here.
Hello, Jasmine.
So, hi. I think most of the answers have already been said. Another point which I would like to add is I think it also requires to plan ahead because, if we sit to do our activities all in one go, then, that itself could be very draining, mentally exhausting. So if we can plan ahead, I think we can manage our time much more effectively.
Thank you. So, Vibha, you're there? Yes, Sushmita.
Yeah, hi, this is Sushmita here. So, according to me, as everybody's already covered it, so time management is basically we need to balance our personal life and professional life. So, due to time management, it is easy for us to prioritize on what comes first, which is more important, and then go ahead with the tasks. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think most of us are aligned on, what time management is. What time management is for all of us. So we all are probably on the same page. So let us look at the agenda for today, what we are going to discuss and what we are going to understand. Just give me a thumbs up if you're able to see the screen.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is as well.
So the agenda for today is going to be, we are going to understand what time management is all about and what is the importance of planning and prioritization in, time management. And most important, this is the problem with each one of us. Probably we fall in the same bucket. How do we overcome the procrastination? Because at times, because of procrastination, it leads to a lot of stress. And how do we go ahead and identify the task that could be delegated to somebody else so we have more room, more time to work on things which are more urgent and more important for us? And how do we manage the distractions? How do we create an environment around us where we are less distracted and more focused towards executing the task within the deadlines that are given? And we will also see certain case studies to understand what time management and how do we go ahead and apply the tools and techniques of the time management. So the learning objectives of these sessions would be like, once you complete this session or once you complete this module, you will be able to define the key concepts which are associated with the time management. You will also be able to identify the main obstacles or common obstacles of, the which leads to poor management of time, and how do we go ahead and effectively manage the time in our daily role. We will also be able to understand the nature of time management. We will understand a range of certain tools, techniques, like someone was discussing about to-do list, maintaining journals and all. So we will understand those, and we will also understand the concept of time management using those tools and techniques. We will also learn how to use these techniques to build an effective time management process that will help you enhance your productivity and lower your stress. For me, time management is stress management. And then you will also be able to explain what time management is. You will also be able to explain to others the benefits of having an effective time management process. So let us go ahead and see what is in store for us here. So before we go ahead and understand what time management is all about and what kind of tools and techniques we have for time management, I would like to understand from each one of you, what are some of the biggest challenges you face when it comes to managing your time effectively?
Procrastination, the biggest
Okay.
challenge.
I think not prioritizing.
Not
Distraction.
prioritizing. Okay.
Distraction.
Distraction. Yes. Distraction is one of a contributing factor for not being able to manage your time. Anything else, you
Changing
feel is the biggest?
priorities.
Pardon?
Changing priorities.
Okay, understood. Yeah. Prioritizing, not being able to prioritize your task, which may, make every task urgent and every task important. Understood.
Procrastinating, as you said rightly.
Yes.
Many times external factors, like sometimes uh, time demands from the other people in the office or chairperson, or sometimes in the family as well. So that always, if we are with a schedule and we many a times could not fulfill the schedule because we are not there to say no.
Understood. Yeah. So
And
certain crisis at workplace or certain, demand of your time at workplace is also a biggest challenge. Yes, please.
and also I feel like daydreaming, like when we think about the possible potential future aspects of the results, then we certainly feel like not doing it, not doing a task in the moment, and we keep on thinking about the future. So I think that it kind of delays, and it sort of gives us the relaxation of not doing the task at the moment.
Yes, Archie. It is one
I
of
think
the
thinking is the better word for all this
Yeah.
topic.
yes.
Yeah, there is also a fear of, okay, now
Unknown.
I have to do this task. The thing about the obstacles already going on in my mind about that task.
Thank you so much. Now that we have gathered some of the biggest challenges that each one of us face while, not being able to manage our time effectively, let us go and dig deep into what time management is all about. Okay. Before we go ahead and understand what time management is all about, we usually meet two set of people at our workplace, at our personal lives, on social lives, where we get to see a set of people who are always struggling to manage time, who have too many tasks to execute in a day or in a week or in a month, and for them every task is priority. They fail to give a priority, number to a certain task that needs to be executed in the starting part of a day, or a certain task that could be executed by the end of the day, something like that. And we find these people running pillar to post, always anxious, always stressed, and trying to squeeze in as much as they can within 24 hours. And such people always complain of lack of time, no matter what, no matter how many tools or techniques that they try to implement, they will not be able to manage their time effectively. So these are the people who will be more anxious and more stressed. Yet, you also get to see certain people at your workplace or at your personal life who are able to manage their time properly. You get to see them posting good pictures on the social media during weekends. You get to see them going to hotels, parks, spending time with the family, spending time with people that they love. And these people are effectively able to prioritize their task. They are effectively able to plan and accomplish the task within the deadlines, which is why they get time to spend time with their loved ones, or spend time with at certain areas where their interest belongs to. And these people have lots and lots of time for themselves. I mean, you may understand, though you sail on the same boat, though you have the same work structure, same number of tasks and same deadlines to be executed, yet you are not able to execute it within time, and the other person is able to execute it very easily, and they are always productive. So these are the two set of people we will get to know. And set two, where you see people who are able to manage time properly, people who have lots and lots of time for themselves, to go ahead and invest that time in the skills and the hobbies, people who always appear productive, who talk less and execute more, and who are able to prioritize and accomplish their task within certain deadlines. These are the people who have been able to manage their time effectively. So we will understand how do we go ahead and how do we transit from being from set one to set two. Now let us understand what time management is all about. Like you all said, time management is the process of effectively organizing, prioritizing, and utilizing our time to accomplish the task and achieve the goals. At the same time, it involves prioritizing our activities, prioritizing the task that we have, eliminating the time wasting behaviors. We will understand what are the obstacles and time wasting behaviors which lead to a poor management of time in the coming slides. And these people go ahead and make conscious choices about how do they spend their time with. Please let me know if you feel that I'm going too fast. I can slow it down, and you can pause me wherever you have any questions. I would love to answer those questions. So now that we understood what time management is all about, let us go ahead and understand the key principles of time management. The first key principle of time management is setting goals. So what is setting goals all about? Setting goals is like, you clearly define your short-term goals, your long-term goals, to provide a direction and a focus for your time management efforts. We will understand how do we go ahead and clearly define our goals. There is an approach which is called as a SMART approach that can be applied to goal to make it execute faster and appropriately. The second principle is prioritization. Like most of you said, we have too many tasks to execute, but we have a lesser time, we have a lesser bandwidth. So you need to decide what are the tasks that needs to be executed on priority. So you will understand when we speak about the to-do list in the upcoming slides, you will understand how do we go ahead and prioritize our task effectively. So prioritizing is nothing but, you will determine as an individual which tasks are more important, which task will require immediate attention of yours, and you will focus on high priority activities that aligns with your goals. So you set goals, you prioritize your task, you identify what are the most important and what are the most important tasks that needs your immediate attention, what are the high priorities activities that also align with your goal. So by the end of the day, when you execute it, you will have a level of satisfaction. The next principle of time management is about time awareness, being aware of the time that you have. developing a sense of how much time a different task or activities require and allocate that time accordingly. The moment you set up all your tasks, you set up all your goals that you wanted to achieve in a day or a week or a month, you prioritize them using ABC technique. We will learn what ABC technique is all about. The moment you prioritize your task, you will go ahead and start giving a time limit against each task. So that will help you understand how much of time is that you will have to invest in achieving this task, in executing this task, and how much time do you have in your hand. And then you will go ahead and work on those priority tasks. So once you set your goals, once you prioritize your task, you set a limit against the task, you will go ahead and do a plan. You will come up with a plan. You will come up with a constructive approach as to how you go ahead and execute the task. So what you will do, you will go and create a structured plan for your day. You will go and create a structured plan for your week or month to make sure that you allocate time for the essential tasks and responsibilities. If you don't have a constructive approach, you will invest more time in exploring how to do that, how to execute that task, or what would be a perfect way to execute the task. It will lead to overthinking. Right. So it is very important that the moment you allocate a time, you will also go ahead and bring in a constructive approach towards how to execute the task in a day or in a set deadline. Once you plan, once you have a constructive approach towards it, you will make sure that you follow it religiously. You will bring in that discipline within you. You will cultivate the discipline to make sure that you stick to the schedule. You avoid distractions. You will form an environment around you where you are less distracted, and you will resist the temptation of procrastination. So these are the 5 key principles of time management. Set your goals, prioritize your tasks, set a time limit against each task, be aware of, how much time a task would take to execute and how much time would you need to invest on it. And plan, have a constructive approach on executing those tasks and bring in the discipline, avoid distractions and avoid the temptation of procrastination. So do we have any questions here?
Yeah, the biggest question. How do you avoid distraction?
We will come to that. We will come to that, Ajit, in the upcoming slide. So I'm parking this question for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, usually when I conduct these workshops on time management, people will be, these are the top 2 questions on mind saying, how do I go ahead and avoid distraction and how do I avoid procrastination? Because, that these are the 2 important contributors on not being able to manage our time effectively. So Ajit, we will discuss this in the upcoming slides. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome. Now, let us identify the time wasters and the ways on, how do we go ahead and eliminate these time wasters. So obstacles are like, biggest things. Time wasters, these are the activities that consume our time without adding any significant value to our goals or well-beings. See, under time management, everything is aligned with your goal. You're trying to achieve something. You wanted to, invest a certain time, yet there are certain factors because of which you're not being able to manage your time effectively. And one of these factors is time wasters. So there are common time wasters, like excessive social media use. We are, on social media platforms on most of the time. Most of the time, I keep observing people whenever they are in a meetings, in the meeting rooms and all, and they go on Instagram, they try, browsing Instagram or other social media channels, and they pay very less attention. Yeah, this is the common problem that I have observed. So excessive social media use is one of a common time waster that I can see, and then disorganized workplaces. If you could see, you might have experienced this, that most of the organizations, they focus on having an organized workplace. They run with no pen no paper policy. They make sure that you keep your bags below your desk, and you make sure they also try to make sure that your work area is clean. They also make sure that you avoid eating or having snacks at your workplace, and you go to the cafeteria and have your food there, because these are certain things that distract you when you are at work, right? So all these things will contribute towards effectively managing your time. And then there is multitasking. Now, there is a big difference in multitasking. When I say multitasking is one of a time waster, it is when When you hop from one task to other, yet you don't take any action. You go to people and start seeking advices. We have seen people around the workplace who, try to do multitasking, yet they go and they don't take any kind of an action. They just go and hop from one person to other person, are seeking advisors, seeking techniques to execute the task, properly because of unclear objectives. Then unnecessary meetings. You might have a client meeting, or you might have a presentation that you need to submit, and one of your colleague comes to you, and you expect a quick 5 to 15 minutes of a break, but you end up discussing something about an earlier day's match, and then the break exceeds from being 15 minutes of a break to a 45 minute. Yeah, so here you will have to be more focused on avoiding the unnecessary meetings. And then another important factor is ineffective communication. Now, this is what I have observed very specifically, right? When you don't communicate properly, or whenever there is a task ambiguity or a role ambiguity, there are certain people who are dependent on you. You want them to execute some task for you. When they don't have a clarity or structured approach on how do they go ahead and execute this task, again, it will lead to a poor time management, isn't it? So, effective communication is an important factor for managing your time effectively. So now that we understood some common obstacles, or some common time wasters, let us see what are the ways where we can go ahead and eliminate these time wasters. So one is digital detox. Detox is a word I get to hear on several social media platforms, where they say detox your body for for managing your stress, or to have a healthy life balance. Yet I see, if you want to manage your time appropriately, you will have to make sure that you set boundaries for the technology use. Limit your time that you spend on social media. How do we do that? Use the social media effectively. Try to spend more time on LinkedIn. Try to be a part of certain channels that that gives you an insight on your day-to-day task. Like I usually be a part of certain training groups where I get to have more and more insights on certain soft skills subjects, which I can go ahead and effectively use it at my workplace. So when though I'm spending time on social media, I'm trying to use it very effectively. I use Instagram channel because I wanted to post the contents that I post on YouTube as a video, short videos, or the content that I post on LinkedIn. So I wanted to create an awareness. I wanted to create a certain level of, followers. I wanted to create a certain level of, I wanted to brand myself, which is why I'm using social media. Yet I don't use Facebook much because I limit my time that I spend on Facebook. So you will have to understand the channels that will take more time of yours, yet are unproductive. So limit your time on social media, and very basic thing that each one of us can do is like, disable notifications to minimize the distractions. Go ahead and try disable notifications on certain apps where, yes, Ajit. So Ajit, I think you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. I come from a profession which involves a lot of branding and advertising work. I will not call social media a distraction at times, because for me, I get competitive knowledge because I follow my clients' competition very closely, so that I get first-hand information rather than depending on a team to give me information on the competition. So if, let's say, HMT watches have taken out a campaign during Diwali, or they have started, I need to know that because my client is Titan. So I need to work out a brand strategy. And Titan uses a lot of social media. So it again depends on self, I guess, how you balance yourself in and use the tool effectively. That's what is my.
Exactly. No, you're right, Ajay. I mean, that is what I'm trying to tell when I gave an example of, using a LinkedIn platform. Now that you say that you need social media to create a branding and to have an awareness of the competitor, the use of social media is directly aligning with your goals, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is more important. Yeah. So
Okay.
what I'm trying to say is we can avoid certain applications or certain areas where we spend certain times, yet it is of no significant value to us. So which is why I
Yeah.
gave an example of, using LinkedIn as a platform, or using I do use Instagram, like I said previously. So the usage of social media is directly aligning with my goal. So this is when it is not a time waster.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So once you do that, once you digitally detox yourself, or eliminate yourself, or avoid certain channels which are not aligning with your goal, the second thing that you can work on is effective communication. So whenever you have a certain task or a certain dependency, most of the time, when I train people, they say, for me, this task could be of a higher priority and is an urgent task because there is a certain dependency. But for the other one on whom I'm being dependent, for him, the task is of a lower priority. So how do I go ahead? I mean, this is consuming much time of me. A report that could be prepared in 30 minutes, it is consuming around 90 minutes for me to execute the task. How do I go ahead and make sure that, I get that report or that information from the person for whom that task or that report is of a low priority? How do I do that? So which is why what we say is use effective communication as a channel. Before you give him a certain task, or before you assign a certain task to the person, try to have a small meeting, try to have a small chat, set up the objectives, set up the expectations in the starting part of a meeting. Try to identify the action owner, make sure that you are giving the task to a right person and he has the appropriate resources to execute the task for you. Set up deadlines and action owners against it. And by the end of the day, try to do a regular follow-up on regular time intervals, so the person would also understand that this task is of a higher importance and higher value for you. So when we implement, or when we use the effective communication at a workplace, or at a personal level in a social lives, I believe you will be able to be more productive. The problem of being dependent and the other person taking more time to fetch that information for you would be sorted to an extent. Next is streamlined workplaces. Like we said, make sure that, we are organized at our workplaces. Make sure that, we organize our physical and digital environments to reduce clutter and increase efficiency. When I say streamline, it's not only about the workplace. In fact, your Google Drives, your online drives, the drives on your computer where you take time to fetch a certain file, right? You will have to go ahead and organize those. That will also help you time and make sure that you get that particular file or an information within a matter of seconds. So the very first step that you will have to do is to reduce clutter. Now that we understood about being, how do we go ahead and digitally detox, how do we use effective communication, how do we understand, how do we streamline the workplaces and the digital platforms that we use, another thing is saying no. Now, most of us have a problem. We cannot say no to a person on a face. You cannot be that aggressive, saying no, you won't be able to help them at this particular time if someone is coming to you. But yet, you will here have to use an assertive approach of communication. So if someone is coming to you for a help, though it is genuine, yet you have certain tasks, certain goals to be accomplished, and it is impacting your productivity. It impacts the value of your goals. It impacts your time. It impacts your energy and efforts. Please try to use an assertive approach and help them understand that you're already occupied. You have a certain dependency, and once you're free from that, you will be able to help them out in the. So when I say, when I say you have to say no to a certain task that comes to you, which is neither important for you, which must be urgent for the other person, but it is not important for you, please make sure that you use an assertive mode of communication here. Bring in an assertive approach. Try to make them understand that you're already occupied and you may not be able to cater that much of time, and you would help him out as soon as you get free or as soon as you execute your task for that particular day or a time. Now, there was one, word that revolved around the slides that we have just discussed. That is goals. Make sure that certain task is being aligned to your goal. Make sure that certain task is being aligned to your certain activity, or a certain tool is being aligned to your objective. Now let us see, how do we go ahead and set goals. Most of you must have learned about how do we go ahead and use a SMART approach. Let us go ahead and reiterate it. So smart goals, how do we convert a simple goal to a smart goal is by using a smart approach. In smart approach, S stands for being specific. So when I say specific, if you have a goal that you wanted to achieve, add in as many details as possible. When I say as many details as possible, add every minute detail. Make sure that you don't skip any minute detail. What are you going to do? By when are you going to do? Why are you what are you trying to achieve out of this particular action? And why do you want it? How is it going to help you? Try to add as many details as possible. And when you do that, you are being very specific with your goal. Second, it is very important that your goal is measurable. Your goal is trackable. Because if you don't track it, you will not be able to see the progress of the task, of the goal that you have set for yourself. So try to understand the factors as to how do you go ahead and measure your goal, set certain frequent time intervals to make sure that your goal is measurable. Third, A stands for attainable. People at sometimes, people also call it as achievable. So what is it? Make sure that you set the real goals, realistic goals. Make sure that you set certain goals which are achievable for you within a certain time frame. Take time to reflect when you set a goal. And make sure, ask yourself, can you realistically accomplish this goal within a certain timeline? It is like, a student is trying to make sure that he's completing his post graduation within 12 months. Yes, please. Okay. So try to make sure that, go back and reflect on the goals that you have already set for yourself and see whether you have given it a certain achievable measurement. Now, next is realistic. Make sure that your goal is relevant. How do you do that? Think about what is important to you. You might have certain n number of goals that you have set for you. Make sure, try to prioritize which goal is relevant and which goal is important for you to achieve. Does this goal aligns with your values? Does it aligns with your beliefs? Right? And whether it has a larger objective. Make sure that your goal is realistic. And T stands for time bound. Keep yourself accountable, be accountable for what you do, and by when do you want to accomplish this goal. For an example, if I say I'm a TTT certified owner, now I have to keep branding myself. How do I do that? You must be saying that I may probably by the next webinar I should have at least 150 people attending my webinar. Now how do I go and do that? For that, you will have to invest a certain time to explore on the subject. You will have to invest a certain time to research and come up with the tools and techniques that you would like to use on your webinar. You will have to bring in a constructive approach, create a script for your webinar, use certain infographics to make sure that you grab the attention of your audience, use certain channels where you advertise about your webinar, like be it LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or your WhatsApp chats. Right. So you will have to make sure that your goals are more realistic. And by when would you like to do that? For an example, if you're planning to have a webinar on 25th of May, then make sure that you're planning that your preparation starts between 14 days, before 14 days of that webinar or that task. So you have ample of time to think, to rearrange your goals, to realign your values, and make sure that it is achievable. I'm going to give a small example on how a simple goal can be achieved, can be presented as a smart goal by using a smart approach. Now, this is one simple goal of an individual. I just took it as an example. I want to save money for my house. Now, this is a goal that an individual has set for himself. Now, how do I make it more specific? How can he make it more specific? Now, to make it more specific, he has tried adding more inputs to it, more details to it. So here he is adding a value. He says, I want to save 4 lakhs for a down payment for a house. Now that he has an understanding, now that he has add a specific value to his goal, now how can he go ahead and make it more measurable? He'll say, I'll track my expenses to ensure 15% of my savings, 15% of my income goes into savings every month. So I'll have a I'll either use a money saving app, or I'll either use a diary where I will start tracking my credit, debit, and other expenses. So this is how a simple goal of being able to save money for a house has come into a measurable context here. In being in specific area, he has mentioned the amount that he wants to save. When it comes to measurement, he's trying to go back and look into his income, and he has set a certain cut percentage to make sure that he is able to save from his income. Now, achievable. How do you go ahead and make it achievable? He says, I spend a lot on expenses, which I can do without. Probably the person is spendthrift, or probably the person might not be tracking his expenses in past. Now that he has a goal, when he has started tracking the expenses, he might have realized that he is spending more than that is required for him. Right. So this is how he's trying to make it more achievable, by cutting down the expenses on unnecessary things. Then being realistic. Now, I want to prepare a house. I want to buy a house to prepare for the next step of my life. And time bound. I will have enough money in the savings if I, save at least 15% from my income for 18 months. Now, there is a time limit that he has set for his goal. Now, do you see the transition of a simple goal to a smart goal? The simple goal was like, I want to save money for my house. Now, using a smart approach, being specific, being measurable, making it attainable, making it realistic, relevant to his values, and, setting a certain time limit. He has transitioned his simple goal to a smart goal. Now let us look at his smart goal. It says, I'll start saving 15% of every check that I receive. I'll keep a track of my finances with immediate effect. So I am able to save 4 lakhs of down payment for a house, and I want it within 18 months. Now, did we see a transition of a simple goal to a smart goal? Now, this is how you will have to set to make sure that you're using your time effectively. Now, I have an activity for you. Now, you will have to identify an immediate goal of yours, any important goal of yours. Make sure that it's a long-term goal, and try to transit that simple goal to a smart goal. So I'm going to give you a 5 minute of time here. It's 10:41. Please take a 5 minute of time. By 10:46, I want each one of you to come up with a smart goal. I mean, try to make a simple goal, use smart approach, and use all the techniques, all smart techniques, and make sure that your goal is smart. Okay, so who would like to go first?
May I?
Yes, sir. Yes, Arun.
Okay, I might be all over the place. You'll have to help me arrange it in the smart tool. Basically, the specific aspect is write an article of 1,000 words. Then measurable is I attempt to write 100 words every day. Okay, and attainable is I plan to allot at least an hour every day beside my everyday chores and other responsibilities. Realistic is if I can do this, like write an article of 1,000 words, then basically this will prepare the material for some webinar I might intend to do in future. So only if I do this, then would be my next step. So I want to make it realistic that without this, I cannot just jump into going in for webinar. So this is the step that I'm taking. Time bound is I would like to do it in 2 weeks. So I don't know how justified my smart tool is.
Great. So Aruna, that's quite wonderful. You have used the approach to an extent. You can also add certain tools and techniques that you would like to use while writing this article. That could help you make this article more presentable. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Suggestions,
what kind of a platforms? ChatGPT is one among them.
Okay.
isn't it? Try to, follow certain LinkedIn profiles or certain LinkedIn groups that could also give you an idea as to how an article can be. What can be, try to use a top-down approach when you would like to write an article. How would
Okay.
you do that? I mean, writing an article is like, making your audience, trying to grab the attention of your audience. So how do we go ahead and, read, how do we decide what news do we need to read? It's by, the headline of a news. Yes or no?
So, no,
Right.
you're basically talking about the preparation that needs to be done. So this will
Exactly.
come under what aspect of SMART?
Specific. Being
Realistic?
specific. Being specific.
Being
Yes.
specific. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just I think writing an article is an objective that I
Yes.
would like to use in my SMART tool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So
Thank
you will have to keep in mind, Arun, that you add as many inputs as you can in the specific thing, specific criteria. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. Yes, Isha.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my specific goal will be I want to become an IELTS instructor. I'm working on it. So I want to accomplish my name in that as an IELTS instructor and specifically into the communications channel, wherein I'll be able to help these students overcome the communication problems and crack interviews and all that things. So that is my specific goal. And if I'm talking about the measurable goal, it will be like getting the required certificates and the experience in that same channel. Attainable will be at least by the end of 2023. That is what is my plan to achieve. So, and the R part will be a support. I want to become realistic thing will be a support system for the students, like helping them on through online platforms, focusing on the coaching institutes, colleges, institutions and all that. And then I've also subdivided into 3 months, 6 months, 9 months and 12 months down the line. So 3 months will be the first short-term goal will be to get the certificates for the required thing. 6 months will be approaching the institutes, coaching centers and the online platforms. 9 months will be developing the contacts, overall contacts through LinkedIn or Instagram or some other social media. And 12 months is to sustain in this market, in this niche market. So this is how I bifurcated my things.
Okay.
This is
Isha,
just the profession.
yeah. Thank you so much. How are you planning to track the progress? Should also be a part of measurable section. So
Okay.
now that you have certain things that you wanted to achieve within 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months, how are you planning to, measure the progress is also very important. I mean, you will have to set certain, time intervals where you go ahead and measure the progress. And then if something is not happening, like you have intended it to happen, you will again you will have to go back and realign the goals. Yes,
Right.
sir. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, Tina. Thank you so much, Isha. Yes, Tina.
Yeah, my simple goal is I want to reduce weight, and in the SMART technique, for the specific, I want to reduce 10 kg weight by the mid of July 23. And in measurable, I want to track my daily routine and achieve a weekly target of reducing 1 kilogram average. And in achievable, I stop eating junk food and do workout regularly. And realistic, the workout time starts from the 30 minutes and increasing to 1 hour daily, and which makes me more fit and good looking. And the time bound here is 1 hour lock-in period every day except Sunday to get the results.
Thanks, Tina. Wonderful. Under measurable section, you can also add what tools would you need, would you use to track the progress?
Okay.
It could be a smartwatch or an app that can track the progress of your workouts and all, right?
Right. Perfect.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, Vibha.
Hi, Sumit. Hello, everybody. So my goal is very bizarre. You might all laugh, but then my goal is to make money. So I do have a job now, but then how to make money is by getting a new job. So Smart May, I've written in a month or two, I'll definitely find a new job. In M, I've written, I'll check on weekly basis to how many places I've sent my resume. Did I get an interview call or not? So I'll keep a track on it. And then attainable, I've given myself timeline of 2 months, exactly 2 months, and I believe I'll achieve that in 2 months. Or I couldn't write anything in hour. Like you can help me with that. Time bound is again it's 2 months. So how is it you can help me with that? Yeah.
So there is a contradiction, Vibha. Now the time is coming in two sectors, under relevant as well as time bound. You have a separate, section for mentioning the time that you would take to achieve this goal. So let us come back to the specific section first. So you
Yeah.
said you wanted to have a job, right? What kind of a job are you looking for? Is
As a corporate trainer, yeah.
corporate trainer, right? Right. Now, what kind of an industries, that you are looking towards to train the people is also should also come under specific part. You can also you can try to be a soft skill trainer, or you would like to be a product trainer, or you want to select a certain section where you see there is a scope of earning good amount of money, yeah, and
Can
with a
you
lesser
suggest me
competition.
one? Can you suggest me one? Which one is the place where I can make more money?
Go for soft
Become a
skills.
Go for
Everybody would
soft.
need a soft skills. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah.
Less investment, more
Okay.
returns.
Right. Great. Thank you, Sumit. Okay.
Okay, so I was just kidding. So, be more specific and then measurable. How do you measure progress of, the actions that you have taken? Probably there are certain job portals where you might have, parked your resume with, probably certain social media channels where you are branding yourself as a corporate trainer, right, on
Okay.
LinkedIn platforms. So how often would you like to go back and see the progress of, the impressions that were created on the social media platform should also come under measurable part, right?
Right. Yeah.
Third
Yeah.
is achievable. So whether you will have to go back and align it with your values and see whether it is achievable. It is very much achievable because you have all the eligibility criteria to be a soft skill trainer, and you're also now a certified soft skill trainer. So you're on path of it. So it is quite achievable. There is no, it is not unrealistic as well, isn't it? Right?
Right.
Now,
Right.
time bound, you have already set it, saying,
Yeah.
2 months. I would say 2 months is a very big amount that you have, ample amount of time that you have set for
Yeah.
yourself. Probably you will have to invest more time in branding yourself and make
Branding.
sure that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
apply on certain job portals and attend as many interviews as you can, because that will add more value and experience in proving your skills and capabilities. Yeah.
Right.
So
Thank you so
this
much,
is how
Sumit.
you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Ajay.
There is a, I was listening to Vibhav. Uh, does she want a job or does she want to do business? Because if you become a trainer,
So actually, I want money. So either by business or by job. Like I do have a job now, but then I want more money. So that's the thing.
so focus there. I think that is the biggest correction that we'll have to do. Either a job or you want to become a full-fledged trainer and make money.
Yeah.
Yes. Another
Yeah.
important aspect of being specific. Thanks, Ajay.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you,
I
Ajit.
was,
And
yeah,
Vibha,
go
I
ahead.
guess one just like a suggestion or maybe an advice. If we
Yeah.
focus on skills, probably we'll get more money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and you're on the path of that, like everybody said rightly, that you've already become a certified trainer. So you're on the
Yeah.
path of it and you've gained the skills. So you'll
Yeah, that's why I actually went for certification because I had this goal. No, I have to make money. So like how to go about it. So yeah.
yes.
Thank you,
I,
Ajit.
everyone will be making this smart this thing, I know, but I would like to also find out whether is it important to identify certain weaknesses that can arrive. You do a SWOT analysis of your goal setting,
Yes, yeah.
because I think if we don't do that, we will actually, when a weakness arises or a pain area arises, we will be spending time on solving that pain area rather than getting. So I think mentally, when we are setting a goal, we should do a SWOT analysis of our goal
Mhm.
and then get into this approach. Just guide me if I'm wrong.
Amazing, Ajay. Yeah. Which is why we say that the goal has to be realistic under a smart approach. So SWOT analysis will help you understand what are the opportunities, what could be a possible threat while you're pursuing it, or when you try to align your goal for a certain subject. And at the same time, it will also help you understand your strengths and the opportunities that you have. in
True.
all the possible opportunities and
Yeah.
threats. Yeah.
You see, even if you are approaching that entire process of SMART, after you
Yes.
do your SWOT analysis, and you are working towards the objective. For example, someone was saying to lose weight. You are on the progress of losing weight, but you suddenly there is, let's say, you are called for a 2-day training program somewhere. You have messed up your entire schedule. You have messed up everything. And how do you deal with that situation is what I'm trying to say should be factored in your smart approach. Because for us, as a human, we'll always say, हाँ यार हो जाएगा. लेकिन ये जब problem आता है, that's the time we are actually wasting time. So I'm just saying that I think somewhere down the point, we should have it in the back of the mind in case of emergencies, what and how do we deviate and how do we handle it? My suggestion.
Yes, Ajay. So I pretty much agree with what you said. So it is very important that you go back and see all the possible threats, for like the example that Vibha has quoted, and go back and
Sonu,
realign your goals, your objectives, and make sure that they are time bound. Thank you so much, Ajit, for your contribution.
Thanks, man.
Yes, Jasmine.
Sumit, actually, I had a doubt. Under the SMART analysis, I think you mentioned R stands for relevant. And how do we assign, like, what do I mention under relevant when I'm, when I have this goal, SMART goal as I'm preparing, when I'm breaking down my long-term goal, I don't know what to put under R.
Okay. What is important for you? When you have set this goal for yourself, you will have to mention what is important for you and whether, this goal is aligning with your values and beliefs or not. So there is a big contradiction. If it is not aligning with the values and beliefs, then it will be very hard for you to achieve it. So Jasmine, you will have to make sure that, you mention what is more important for you. For an example, if we have seen if you could go back and recollect the case study that we have seen where the individual was trying to purchase a house. Now he wanted to make it relevant because he wanted to move a step ahead in his life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it. Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, Devendra.
I just wanted to reflect further to Jasmine ji. On the relevant side, I remember Aparna ji saying in our course at one point of time, can your passion become the profession? And that's where you see some relevance, because each one of us has different likings, different, I won't say values, maybe on liking side. The other reflection I wanted to bring, maybe a bit of discussion as well, is that Sumit, we have many tasks to do. It's not only one specific task for which I'm supposed to do this SMART. But in a day-to-day life, you have a number of things that you go through, including the day-to-day course and some of the important things, what you think. So I had seen earlier something called as urgent and important 4-quadrant matrix, where you have on x-axis an urgent and on y-axis the important, and then you say urgent, not urgent, and another axis important and not important, and try to put all your basket of the goals or tasks, because these are also quite interchangeable, to really see what is urgent and what is important. And from the long term, how do we maybe reduce those urgencies and devote more time, which is money, in the language of Ajit, and I completely agree, to the important. So what do you say about this?
Yeah. So Devendra, we are going to learn about, these 4 quadrants of time management in the upcoming slides. Yeah. So please allow me some time. Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing out this topic. So this is one of an, subtopics of what we are going to cover today in our time management techniques. Yeah. Yes, Supra?
So hi Sumit, I've just tried making a goal statement which I'm looking realistically, and please correct me if in case I missed out something. Yeah. Goal is to start taking the corporate trainings. Yeah. So simple. I will spend daily 1 hour on LinkedIn for connecting with L&D partners of different organizations for my lead generation, and plan a meet and greet with virtual or physical through virtual or physical environment, and block my calendar accordingly so that I at least take 3 to 4 trainings for this quarter. And this continues. Yeah. Correct me if I missed out anything. Yeah.
So can you be more specific as to what aspect of corporate training would you be, trying to develop, or would you or you are trying to achieve?
So you mean to say like soft skill training or leadership training? Okay, I'll need to
Yes.
add into that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that part is missing. Yeah. Thank you, Sumit. Yeah. Is any other correction required in the statement? Or did I achieve all the smart? I'm not sure.
So we'll also have to make it more relevant, like Devendra said, whether
Relevant or
after a
realistic?
certain. No, you will have to make it more relevant or realistic. It's both same. I mean, unless it is not, aligning with your beliefs or with your passion, you won't be able to achieve it. Again, there is a threat.
So taking 3 trainings in a quarter is realistic, I felt. Correct me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is realistic, but it's 3 trainings in a quarter is like, again, it depends. No, Supra, why are you limiting yourself only for 3 trainings in a quarter?
But I need to get started, right? It should I should have the thing that I'm able to achieve it as well. I
Okay.
might write 10 trainings, but I may not be able to generate leads or L&D partner connection. Then there's no point in making it a 10 training.
Okay.
I mean, what I feel, I'm not sure.
Sure. So you can also include the techniques that you would like to use, because when you wanted to when you want to train a certain audience, you will have to work more on certain techniques where you will try to understand the level of audience that you are going to train and what kind of a content preparation technique would you be using. Right.
Okay.
So you will also have to invest time. So you will have to sit and identify the channels where you want to go ahead and use what kind of a technique that you would like to present it to your audience. It could be like you wanted to focus more on infographics. You want to spend time to learn infographics to make sure that your presentation is more presentable or grabs the attention of your audience. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your contribution. Now that we understood how do we go ahead and transit a simple goal into a smart goal, now we will go ahead and understand what planning and prioritizing is all about. So Devendra, the 4 quadrants of time management is a part of this section. Now, there are certain effective time management, or there are certain effective planning techniques. One of them is a to-do list, like someone was mentioning. Is the screen visible?
It's
Let
visible, but the current slide is just the one, the activity board.
Goal setting is visible. Yeah, now it's visible.
Thank you. Yep. So under effective planning techniques, the techniques that are used more often by people who are able to manage their time effectively, or who are able to manage their time well. One is a to-do list. To-do list is a most common yet more effective way of managing your task, followed by calendars and planners. Now even your Outlook and O365 is integrated with calendars and planners, isn't it? We find people using this very often, and setting calendar invites and making sure that your time is blocked. And at the same time, if you have to set a new appointment or a meeting, I as an individual can go back into an Outlook and see how much of the day you're occupied with, what is your bandwidth, and whether I can go ahead and arrange a new meeting with you and all, right? So the moment you start using the calendars and planners, we will learn this in details. It will also help you to manage your time effectively. Third is effective time blocking, followed by 4 quadrants of time management and the 80-20 rule. So what are to-do list? I mean, you just go ahead, create a list of tasks, create a list of goals, certain things, certain action items that you would like to achieve, and prioritize them based on the urgency and importance, right? So this is how you will go ahead and make your to-do list, make your journals, And when it comes to calendars and planners, you will utilize, you can go ahead and utilize calendars, which are there in your Outlook or O365, utilize planners to schedule appointments with people and set certain deadlines. Usually we use SharePoint to, list out all the tasks that is at a workplace, list out all the tasks that is required for us to achieve in a day or in a week, and how much time, how much hours would the task would take me to achieve, and what is a deadline that I can set to make sure that the task is achieved, executed within a certain timeline. And you can use time blocks for specific activities. So to-do list is something where you create a list of tasks and prioritize them based on your urgency and importance. Calendars and planners is like, where you can go ahead and utilize these tools to schedule your appointments, your deadlines, and time blocks for specific activities. When it comes to time blocking, you need to allocate a specific time block for different task or activity, which you have to ensure that you have a focused and an uninterrupted work. And when it comes to 4 quadrants of time management, we will learn more about it. These 4 quadrants are divided based on the urgency and important. There are certain tasks which are urgent, which are not urgent, which are important, and which are not important. So we will try to understand the collaborative approach of 4 quadrants of time management, and then the 80-20 rule, your Pareto principle. Here you will identify the tasks that contribute the most significant value. When I say the most significant value, the vital few, and you will focus on those rather than getting caught up in less impactful activities, the tribal many. So you will focus on 20% of tasks which could give you 80% of results. Now, what is to-do list all about? Now it helps you to create a comprehensive list of tasks that you have. It also helps you to prioritize your tasks. It helps you to bring in a constructive approach, break your bigger task into smaller tasks. Also, it also helps you to review your task regularly, to see the progress, to mark the progress. And you can go ahead and use digital tools. There are several applications, or you can create a to-do list of yours by just using a word document or a OneNote in O365 or an Excel. So to-do lists are very simple yet very effective techniques for organizing tasks and prioritizing your work. So how do you make the most of them? Start by creating a comprehensive list of all the tasks you need to complete. Jot down all the tasks that you wanted to complete within a day, week, or a month, and try to use a below technique, which is ABC. Capture everything that you do. Follow an ABC method of priority. We will discuss what ABC method of priority is all about, and set a time limit based on how long each step would take for you to execute. And once you're done, do a follow-up, and make sure that you take all the actions when they are done. Now, what is ABC analysis? Now, this ABC analysis, it will allow you to prioritize your task in 3 different categories. A, the tasks which are urgent and important. B, the tasks which are important but not urgent. And C, your time wasters, or your tasks which are neither urgent or important. Probably you're trying to do it for a goodwill sake for somebody else, but when you have the other tasks which are already aligned and need your immediate attention, you will have to make sure that you mark such tasks under C. So you go ahead and prioritize tasks based on urgency and importance. So you can use techniques like numbering or color coding. Most of us use it on Outlook, where we mark a red flag for an email which needs an immediate attention, green flag for an email which has been executed but was very important and can be used as a regular follow-up. So you can use the correct color coding on highlighting those tasks and categorize it to indicate the priority levels. Second, you can break down the larger task into smaller, more manageable subtasks to make progress easier. So try to use a constructive approach here. Once you do that, once you start taking an action, it is very important that you regularly review the task, regularly review the progress, and start updating your to-do list. Now, this will help you to reflect on the changes in the priorities and deadlines. At times, you may realize that you have set a certain deadline, yet the task was completed before the deadline or on time. Go ahead and tick it. There will be certain tasks which will surpass the deadline. Though it is often higher priority, it will surpass the deadline and it needs an immediate attention the very next day or very next week or in your next meeting. So which is why it is very important that we go ahead and regularly review our to-do list, regularly update our to-do list to reflect the changes in priorities and deadlines. Now, you can also consider using digital tools or apps like we discussed for to-do list that offer features, more importantly, like, reminders that will also give a pop-up on your due days and task dependencies. Now, let us understand what calendars and planners have in store for us. Now, how do you do that? You just select a calendar or a planner. Like most of the trainers, we have a soft skill. I use a soft skill calendar. I prepare a soft skill calendar before a month for me, for me to plan the coming month as to what am I going to train, and how, what kind of an audience would I train under which weeks, and when do I have to go ahead and send emails for nominations? When do I have to go ahead and send a participant guide and all? So I prepare a calendar and a planner based on that. Now, once you select a calendar or once you select a planner, you set up the calendar, you set up a planner, you prioritize and allocate the time that is required for a task. And then you will review and adjust your timelines, your goals. You will utilize reminders and notification features that will help you to make sure that you do not deviate from the set timelines that you have mentioned for a particular task, and maintain consistency. So what do you do under select a calendar or a planner is like, you choose a calendar or a planner that suits your preference, kind of a training or an industry that you are into, and your needs. So consider whether you have a physical or a digital format. You can either have a calendar prepared on your diary or a journal that you carry, or you can have a digital calendar with you, as well as a level of detail and a customization. See what kind of a detailed and customized options are available in a calendar that can also help you to make it more specific. Now, once you select a calendar, you set up your calendar or a planner. So what do you do under setting up a calendar or a planner? It's like, you determine the time frame. Decide whether you want to work with it on a daily, weekly, or a monthly view. Consider the level of granularity you need to effectively manage your time. Once you do that, start marking the important dates. Once you have a task ready, try to give try to mark it as a quarterly, annually, monthly, or an ad hoc activity or a recurring activity. So you can go ahead and add recurring events, holidays, birthdays, any fixed appointments or commitments that you already know of. Once you start marking important dates, once you're done marking important dates, then you can go ahead and identify the key deadlines, which is very important. Now you can go identify the deadlines for the projects, identify the deadlines for the assignments or other time sensitive tasks that you have, and mark them on your calendar or a planner. Like to-do list, you can also use a color code category here. Add specific colors to different categories or different type of activities. It could be you can have one journal for your work, personal, or family, or you can have separate journals or calendars. So add a specific color which related to your work, related to your personal agenda or personal task or your family task, to visually differentiate them on your calendar, which is very important. Once you add a color code categories here, now allocate breaks and downtime. Don't forget to schedule regular breaks and allocate time for your self-care, for your relaxation, and activities that recharge you, which is very important. Else you will feel that your energy is drained. Now, once you are done selecting a calendar, once you are done setting up a calendar or a planner, you go ahead to another important aspect, which is prioritizing and allocating time for your task. How do we do that? I mean, transfer tasks from your to-do list here. Review your to-do list, identify tasks that you need to be scheduled. Assign them a specific timelines, specific time slots based on their importance and urgency. Now, once you do that, assign realistic time estimates. Consider the estimated duration for each activity. Once you have a constructive approach, it will become very easy. So consider the estimated duration for each task or each activity and allocate an appropriate time of yours in the calendar. Now here you will have to be very realistic and accountable for potential contingencies. Once you do that, use time blocking. Now, what is time blocking is like, you allocate a dedicated time block for specific type of activities or tasks. Probably something that, you wanted to set aside focus work timings, meetings, email managements, and personal activities. So probably you can block first 2 hours of your day the moment you go, the moment you reach office, to read emails and try to understand what is expected out of you, or if there are any dependencies on you. Similarly, if you wanted to work on certain reports, you can set certain time before lunch or post lunch. If you have certain important appointments, or you need to have a clear understanding or certain inputs on how to execute a certain client presentation or something, try to make sure that you block a time, probably afternoon, or based on the time availability of a person. So it is very important that against these important tasks, you will have to use time blocking. Once you're done, set priorities against each task. Assign a higher priority task to certain time slots that align with your peak productivity. It depends. I mean, you can change it based on the shifts that you work, and then when you're most alert and most focused. Once you do that, once you're done with prioritizing and allocating time for your task, you will go ahead and review and adjust. What do you do here? You will regularly review and adjust your calendar or your planner as needed. Take time, take into account the new task that comes in between, shifting your priorities. Probably the client meeting that was expected on Monday has been postponed to Friday. So again, you will have to go back and review what all other tasks which could be executed on Monday, which are of a higher importance, or which are of a higher urgencies. So shift your priorities and the changes in the deadlines. Once you do that, regularly evaluate the effectiveness of your time allocations and make adjustments to optimize your schedule. Once you review and adjust, you will come to a next part, which is utilizing reminders and notifications features. So this you can do it at an initial level as well. Take advantage of reminders and notifications from certain applications, or set certain alerts where you are reminded about a certain activity. And these are available in digital calendars and digital planners. Set alerts for important events or upcoming deadlines to ensure you stay on track. Another last thing which is very important is maintaining consistency and discipline. This is where most of us lack, or we lose our patience. But if you want to effectively manage your time, you have to make it a habit of being consistent and self-disciplined. So consistency for most of us, it's a key for effective time management and stress management. Now stick to your calendar. Make sure that you stick to your calendar and the planner commitments as much as possible. Don't deviate. Don't try to deviate. You will also have to make sure that you avoid rescheduling or shifting tasks more often unless it is necessary. And maintain the discipline to follow your schedule. Resist the temptation to deviate from it without any valid reasons. Now, all we have to do is we have to remember that the goal is to create a calendar or a planner that reflects our priorities, our commitments, and our availability, which is very important, isn't it? You will have to continuously refine and adapt your time management, which suits your evolving needs, which optimizes your productivity as well. So this is what all about, how do we go ahead and create a to-do list and calendars and planners. We will quickly take, since it is 11:21, let us take a quick 7 minutes of break and come back by 11:29. Then we will go ahead and understand how can we go ahead and effectively block times, what is 4 quadrants of time management, and a glimpse on 80-20 rule as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sumit.
Thank you. Okay. So is the slide visible? Great. Thank you. So now that we learned how to go ahead and prepare the to-do list, how do we go ahead and prepare calendars and planners? Now, another important technique that allow me a minute. Yeah. Before we go ahead and understand what time blocking is all about. How do we go ahead and effectively block time? What steps do we need to take, or do we need to make sure before, ensure before we go ahead and block time for certain activities? I have a quick activity for all of you. So this is a situation. I mean, I'll just read it out for you. This is one random day situation. At office, the character here is Jordan. Now, usually Jordan reports to office around 9:30, but it was 7:20 a.m. when Jordan arrived at the office. He was very early because he wanted to clear the backlog of the work that has been piling up. So he had come up with an objective that he will invest these 2 hours of time to complete the backlog that he had. However, the moment he came, he started to go through yesterday's emails. As he read the first piece, he realized that he could not deal with it because there was a certain dependency on other person which was involved and the person was not in office. He then went to the next email. It was very relevant to the project that he was working on. So he walked down to the hall and, took a copy of that email. So he was so engrossed in the emails that he realized that it was already 9 a.m. He immediately got back to work to execute the task to make sure that, the backlog is completed within the set timeline. However, he was asked by one of his colleague, Bill, to join for a coffee. Now, he thought of taking a short break. The conversation had led to a match that has happened a day earlier. Jordan realized that the break extended from 15 minutes to 45 minutes. He immediately rushed back to his project. Post lunch, he was asked by his boss to attend the urgent meeting of 2 hours on his behalf. He had attended this meeting, keeping up a project aside. Post attending the meeting, he started working on his project. Meanwhile, he got a call from his wife. He went ahead to attend the call. Post attending the call, he saw a few hundred texts on his mobile, and then he was so engrossed in answering those texts that he forgot about the pending task. Later, by end of the day, he realized that the day has come to an end. He was very dissatisfied on not being able to complete his backlog work on time, which ended up a delay in submission of his project. Now that we understood how do we go ahead and what factors are involved in creating a to-do list or a planner, can we help Jordan to set an agenda for his day? I want you guys to take some time, a 5 minute of a time, and set an agenda, and then we will discuss how Jordan could effectively manage all these circumstances that has happened with him and make sure that the backlog, the work that has been piled up is executed within the deadlines. So it's 11:34. A 5 minute of time. By 11:39, we will start discussing what all you had in mind and how did you plan his agenda for the day.
Sumit, you want a discussion happening or we do ourselves the work?
You do yourself the work and then we will,
Okay.
pick up the volunteers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, please. If any one of you is ready with the agenda, we can start discussing.
So let me try, Sumit.
Yeah.
So what I found that let's make a list of to-do, and here to-do list, and then you have to go for priority. So here, as a part of to-do list, here we have to check the email, a meeting with colleagues, attending ad hoc call, just like he got the boss call, and giving a time to personal calls. So these 4 or 5 to-do list he should make, and then fix the priority. So first email, as it may be urgent, when he checking the email, he can fix the priority, what he has to do now, what he defer, and what he can delete it. That is 3D approach. And if it is urgent, he should do the action. If it can be checked later, he should defer for that. Then he should, to avoid the delay or entertaining the break, he should fix the timing, and he should be politely saying to friend that he has so much time only. And if it is possible to attend that chat, it's fine. If not, that he should be politely, assertively saying that this is not possible to extend time for more than 15 minutes or 10 minutes. When it is coming to personal call, he should also try to, as soon as he receives the call, he should first understand that whether it is urgent or that discussion can happen later. So he should defer there also. Now text also, as he was engrossed and answering all the things, he should fix some time to respond to the text. And ad hoc call, as it is not planned, so it will be the first priority he should be addressing that meeting can know the boss.
Thank you so much, Jagnu. Yes, Tina.
So, like I started Jordan's day at 9 a.m. Then he started, because no need to come early in the office. He started the day at 9 a.m. when other colleagues are coming. So fixed by clock, he check out the emails by 10 a.m. and he prioritized, he used the ABC analysis to identify the emails, which email is on the priority. Then he finished up the emails by 10 a.m. Then he again started his project till 11. Then he took a coffee break with a colleague till 11:15 a.m. Sharp 15 minutes break. Then Bill was also satisfied. He make him clear, because I have a followed up agenda to do. So kindly let's start the discussion within 15 minutes of coffee break. Then he back to work at 11 a.m. and continued his work till 1:15. He took a 45 minutes lunch break, come back and got a sudden meeting of the boss. He went for the meeting from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. He was very conscious about the work which was pending, because his agenda to wind up the project report by the evening. So he come back at sharp 4 p.m. Again started working on the project. He finished the project by 5:30 p.m. and he again have a review on the report till 5:45 p.m. And at the end of the day, 5:45 p.m. to 6 p.m. he took the unread text. Meanwhile, he attended the wife's phone call. It took not more than 1 minute. So he managed while coming from the meeting and sitting for the project. So this is what I started at 9 a.m. sharp 6 p.m. and it should not be go beyond 6 p.m.
Effective use of time. Thanks, Tina. Yes. Anyone else?
Yeah, Sumit. So I want to say something here. I
Yes.
believe Mr. Gordon is a man of no self-discipline. This is what my understanding is. So I think he should first cultivate the practice of self-discipline, even if he's arriving at 7:20 a.m. at office to finish the backlog work. So I believe he should first finish off his work by 9 instead of, jumping into reading all the mails. That's what he should first finish. Also, he's a man who is driven by notifications. So I think he should keep his notifications off and stick to his work. Yeah, that's what my analysis is.
Thanks, Vibha.
Thank you.
Yes. Devendra, would you like to contribute here?
No, I was just thinking that there could be multiple ways to manage it. But honestly, I was reflecting myself, so little stuck. But all I could say is to how to avoid those distractions in the morning hour for which you came. Even those email, he could have completely avoided, just to focus. The very reason why he came early is address that irrespective of all other urgencies, because till he reached to a 9 o'clock or 9:30, he was completely on his own. I think that was the best time. I think that got challenged. And then subsequently, then it's a cascading effect where it's like quenching a fire then. So the
Yes.
very idea of coming early in the morning was perfect one.
Yes.
You could have just executed it without looking anything else.
Yes, he should have executed it right.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Devendra.
Also, this break, 15 minutes to 45 minutes, that's also where he wasted his time. So this was also time wasted for him. So I believe he's not able to identify which one is a time waster for him. So yeah.
Exactly. Unnecessary breaks, distractions, yeah, notifications, all these things were acting as all these things, were obstacles because of which he was not able to execute. There was a set goal. He came with a goal to, work on the backlog, but he was not able to do that because of which. Yeah. Anybody else would like to contribute, or, Isha, we would like to hear from you.
Yeah, I guess delegating the task would also help. As in answering the mails or something, the unimportant things can be delegated to the juniors or other team members. And avoiding distractors is the main thing. Is it taking a coffee break or attending wife's call or replying to the text and all that. So that can be done later on also, after the task is done. That is what is I found out. Otherwise, I was on the same line, like complete the task first and then jump to the mails if your intervention is required.
Yes.
So can I check something more, maybe more as an input from each one of us? Is that okay
Yes,
if I
yes,
take
yes.
another? Okay. So one of the thing I'm telling the personal story now. So challenge within the challenge. Okay. Uh, you decide to come early, and probably we often do that. One of my challenges that I don't feel focused and settled until I answer those urgencies. And by then I answer those urgencies, it's already 9 o'clock. Okay. Now I'm free to focus on what I decided the earlier day, but that time is wasted. Now, this is a kind of a behavioral challenge. So do you have any suggestions?
80-20 rule. We will discuss on it, Devendra.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Pareto principle is one technique where you focus on vital few and get more number of results. So that is one of another technique one can use to be more productive and execute tasks with amazing results. Yeah. So we understood the level of distractions, right? If he would have maintained a to-do list, if he would have created a planner, right, he would be able to execute the task, or he would be able to met his goal. But it was not possible because he was getting distracted by a colleague, by unnecessary meetings, by unnecessary, diverting his attention on emails which were not required at that moment of a time, diverting his attention on an, yes, Tina.
Every distraction is being understood, but how can we avoid the meeting imposed by boss? Many times we not to boss, or generally we cannot say.
Yes. So see, there are, if in this scenario, you could see there are two levels of meetings that he has invested his time with. One was with his friend, where he gave more than 30 minutes of a time, in just chit chatting, or the break was exceeded. The next was on a meeting which was requested by his boss. So when it comes from your superiors, it's very hard to say no. And at the same time, it can also be often high importance for you as well, when you're trying to grow in a career, right? So if I believe, if he had come by 7:20 a.m. in the morning, he had ample of time to work on the backlog, then go back and check his emails, avoid the break. He could have taken a break for 5 to 10 minutes, not more than that. And then he had an ample of time of taking the task that was assigned by his manager, isn't it? Right? So distractions that Jordan would have avoided was spending too much of time on emails, spending too much of time on personal calls and other notifications that he has received on an email, giving too much of time to colleagues on useless or insignificant discussions, which will add no value to his goals. Thank you so much. So, pretty much good. I mean, we got to understand what this activity was all about and the learnings from this activity. Now, I'm going to present you a video. Please help me understand if you're able to listen to the audience. So audio, if you're able to listen to the audio, just give me a thumbs up.
There's no audio.
Okay. Now?
Yeah. Could you please
I
restart?
gotta get this.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta get this paperwork done today. Hey dude, what's up? Yeah, that was awesome last night. Oh yeah, you got pictures on Facebook? Yeah, hold on, I'll be right there. Oh, those are awesome. Ha, that was fun. Yeah, alright dude, I gotta go. Bye.
Hey Frank, I know you're busy, but Mr. Smith really needs you to get this stuff done.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, did you see the game with the Gators? Tim
Oh,
Tebow was crying after
Yeah,
that
that
loss.
was awesome. I can't believe they lost. That was
I know.
terrible.
He was crying first loss in like 4 years, gosh.
Yeah, there goes the Heisman.
Oh, what are you doing?
Oh, just, hanging out, pretending to work.
Pretending. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I'll
trying
let
to
you
get
get
by.
on. Hang in there.
See ya. Hey, baby. Yeah, yeah, I'm coming home right now. Yeah, I know I'm late again. Yeah, I'm real busy. I'm swamped. Yeah, I'm coming home right now. I still haven't gotten my paperwork done. Ugh.
So similar situation of Jordan's case, isn't it? Too many distractions, not being aligned with the goal. Let us look at another video with a similar situation here.
Okay, so I gotta get paper 1 and paper 2 done today. So I'm gonna put this away so I don't spend time on the internet. I'm talking to you right now. I gotta finish this.
Hey Frank, I know you're busy, but Mr. Smith needs you to take care of these by the end of the day.
Sure. Can you let him know that I'll finish those as soon as I get done with this? I gotta finish these first.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
I forgot to ask you, did you see the Lakers game the other day when Kobe hit the jump off three and won the game?
That was crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, can we talk about that at lunch? I really gotta finish
Yeah,
this right
sure.
now.
Sorry to distract you.
See you at lunch. Hey, honey, what's up? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, I can't do that right now. It's not an emergency, is it? No, okay, I really gotta finish this work, and then I'll come home when I'm done with this, okay? I'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah. So what did we see? I mean, what is the difference between these two videos? One which had a poor time management and this similar situation with a good time management technique.
I guess being disciplined and being assertive really works for you. If you're assertive enough to understand your priorities and let the others know in a polite manner without offending them, so it works.
Yeah, that's what even I realized, that he was quite assertive, that if he wanted to complete the work, he politely gave his work the priority, and he said that he could manage all the conversation or the which were the calls which were not very urgent. He could handle it later.
Right. Even to his wife, I mean.
Yes. He attended the call. He attended the call, but he asked her whether was it urgent,
Yeah.
so that he could handle it later.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hershey and Regila. Anybody else would like to contribute your understanding of these videos or your learnings from this video?
One of the things I realized that he wasn't rude.
Yes.
So while he was focusing on the work that he wanted to do the work, he did not deteriorate the relationship.
Yes. So this is what we call as assertive mode of communication. Yeah, not being too aggressive or not being too passive. Thanks, Devendra.
At the same time, he could prioritize also in the second video. In the first one, he had no clue. He was all over the places. He was saying yes to everything, but then the second one, he could really prioritize. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Arun.
Yeah, I like the way he highlighted the to-do list. That's the first step to even begin with. And then obviously, the other thing I really appreciated was, all the other conversations, he could put them aside, but his wife's his wife's phone call, which is important, but might not be a priority now and then. So he did take the phone, and within speculated time, he could manage that. So he does know what is important, what is not important. That's something I really appreciated in this.
Thanks, Arun. I was expecting someone to say that, that he started his day with a to-do list. And yes, thank you so much.
I like
Okay.
the fact that he avoided the clutter. Like if he didn't require the laptop, he put it aside. Okay, this is not required right now. I can, work on this later on. So that is what is focusing on me also. I need everything right now.
Yeah, no,
So that
and
is one
the
thing I
thing
can
was
learn.
that it was kept totally out of reach. He said he'll
Yes.
keep it aside. So, usually you have the mobile next to you. You would just want to take that mobile and check what's happening, what's the messages. So he just
Right.
kept it out of sight and concentrated on focused on his job at hand.
practically implementing out of sight, out of mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Devendra.
And I'm just thinking when I think Ishaji said about the clutter, when out of sight, out of mind, that's where my point came is as to how do I stop this mind chatter? While all other distractions which are tangible enough, I said no nicely, uh, but still not able to focus into the work that I have. Do you face such challenges as to how do we stop that mind chatter or the clutter?
In case if you have challenges in stopping a mind clutter, delay it for a while, keep it on the later part of a day. Have a to-do list, work on all the tasks that you have, and then the moment you're free by 4 or 5 p.m., give it a thought.
Also, Sumit, in this case, focusing on your breath helps you a lot. So there are a variety of breath techniques that can help you when your mind is chattering like hell. Yeah. That
Okay.
surely helps. Yeah.
That's good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your inputs. And amazing. It was really engaging. Okay, now that we have seen the case studies of poor time management and we have seen the same situation as to how did this character was able to execute his task by effectively manage his time by using certain techniques like avoiding distractions, keeping non-urgent things aside, and maintaining a to-do list, first of all. Yeah. So let us understand what effective time blocking is all about. So when we say effective time blocking is a powerful technique, trust me, that helps us, individuals to manage our time more efficiently and increase our productivity. And how do we do that? It's like, by allocating a specific time interval or blocks for different tasks or activities, we can focus more on one task at a time and reduce distractions like the character in this video has done. Now let us look at certain benefits of, effective time blocking. So what will effective time blocking would do to us as an individual? It improves our focus. I mean, by dedicating a focused time to specific tasks, distractions can be minimized to an extent. And when distractions are minimized, it will allow us for deep work and enhanced concentration. So this is one thing that we can, do, that, we improve our focus by dedicating a certain time to a specific task, so we do not get distracted, we do not overthink, or we do not let the mind chatter. Second is increased productivity. How do we do that? This time blocking technique, it ensures that the important tasks are given priority and they are also completed within a designated time slot. Now, once you set a priority and once the action is completed within a designated time slot, you will realize that you have led yourself on a higher productivity level. And it will also help you to manage your task better. It's, better task management. And how do we do that? By breaking down tasks into specific time blocks, by allowing for better planning, organization, and utilization of the available time of yours for that particular day. We will focus here on steps of implementing the time blocking. One is by prioritizing your task. Identify your priorities. Determine your key priorities and goals, which are for the day, for a week, or a month. Now here, you will have to consider the importance and urgency of the task, which will help you to allocate appropriate time blocks. Second is by establishing regular time intervals. Establish regular time intervals against the task and minimize distractions. We have seen a real-time example in the video, like how was he able to minimize the distractions and was very assertive when people have came to him for unnecessary talks and all. Batch similar tasks that will help you to do multitasking in a more effective way. Take breaks, which is very necessary. Timely breaks, but make sure that your breaks are not extending to an extent. And be flexible and ready to adapt. At times, you may have to shift the priority of the task because you might have certain tasks which were urgent and important for a certain time, maybe postponed for a later part of a week or later part of a month. Then you will have to be more flexible and ready to adapt for this change. And regularly evaluate, like we discussed in a planner and calendar section, that we will regularly evaluate the progress of the task and realign our goals and objectives. Now here,
one second, what was that? I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
What is the batch similar tasks?
Batch similar task is like, you
Sumit,
can
what is batch? Yeah.
that similar task is like, you can categorize those tasks. For an example, if you're working on emails and a certain dependency is involved, right? There is a task where you are supposed to work on a Lelo, let us take an example that I conducted a training session on time management. Now I'm expected to send you a participant guide, right? Now, while I'm working on email, while I'm attending to the emails and replying to those emails, I can also add this task in that section where I can use email as a medium in sending the participant guide to you. So there are two tasks. One was to work, attend the emails, reply to all emails, and flag all important and unimportant emails. At the same time, there was another task where I had to share a participant guide with you. Right? I'm not keeping that task on a later part of a day. While I have invested the time to work on emails, let's say between 9 to 10, I'll work on emails. Okay, in the similar section, in the similar time frame, I'm adding this task. This is called as batching a similar task.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, how do we go ahead and how do we go ahead and implement the time blocking? First is identify the priorities. Determine all your key priorities and goals of the day, week, or month. Like I said, consider the importance and urgency of a task that will help you to allocate appropriate time blocks. Second is by creating a schedule again, right? We can, like we discussed during our calendar and planner section, you can either use a digital calendar or a digital planner or schedule. You can use a scheduling tool to create a visual representation of your time blocks, right? Start off your day by blocking off fixed commitments like your meetings, your appointments, your pre-scheduled activities that will help you to execute the task faster. Third, allocate time for focus, which is very important. Now you will have to assign a dedicated time block for tasks that require focused attention and concentration. You cannot keep those tasks at the later part of a day where you rush to log out and reach home on time or attend certain dependencies post 5:30 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. So you will have to make sure that you assign all these tasks in a certain block in a certain time frame where you will be able to give a focused attention and a concentration, probably in the mid-afternoon, probably after lunch, where you're more productive by between 2:30 to 4:30, or if you are a person who feels sleepy immediately after having lunch, probably keep a time frame before your lunch timings. Yeah, kind of thing. Consider your energy levels and natural rhythms. It is very important to schedule challenging and creative work during your peak productive periods. Probably, see, Monday mornings are more busy for us, right? I mean, we are usually more occupied on Monday mornings. We have a set planner for the entire day, for the entire week, and all things which are not important, which are not urgent but important. I cannot go ahead and start working it on a Monday. Usually, when I have to, uh, schedule a meeting with my manager to discuss my progress and all, I refrain it keeping it on Mondays. I usually keep it on Wednesday because I know he's on a high fire on Monday. Yes, Vibha.
Yeah, Sumit, sorry to interrupt you. I think what you're explaining is not aligned with the current page that is visible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No,
so
no, no.
you have
I'm
to
just
change the slide.
no. We have already discussed those. I'm just giving a context on steps on identifying the blocks. There is no PowerPoint presentation on it.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So usually you will have to make sure that you allocate a certain time for focus on all these activities that require your attention and concentration. You consider your energy levels and natural rhythms to schedule challenging and creative work during your peak productive periods. Minimize distractions is something that you can do while effectively blocking your time. You can plan regular breaks between the time blocks to rest, to recharge, power naps and all, and that will help you to maintain your productivity. Short breaks can be used for stretching, it can be used for walking or engaging in activities that refreshes your mind. Again, it is very important that we minimize the distractions as well, because during time blocks you will have to eliminate or reduce the distractions which disrupts your focus, like we have seen in the video of poor time management. In the video of a good time management, we get to see that the person, he was able to silence the notifications, close unnecessary tabs, or he kept his laptop aside. Communicate your availability if someone is trying to come and distracting you while you are at work. Communicate your availability and need for uninterrupted work. You will have to communicate the need of uninterrupted work time to your colleagues because it is necessary, but with a very positive approach, with a very assertive approach. Now, be flexible, allow room for unexpected changes. Most of the time, I've seen people getting stressed if things are not happening as per the plan or as per the to-do list that they have designed for the day, week, or a month. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. You always have time. You can be flexible to go and realign with the goals, realign with the task and the priorities. So you allow the time for unexpected changes or interruptions. Keep some buffer time in your schedule. Now, adjust time blocks as needed, because while you adjust the time blocks as needed, you will have to be mindful of maintaining an overall balance, isn't it? And meeting your priorities of those tasks. Once we do that, we will also have to go back and regularly evaluate and adjust. How do we do that? You regularly review your time blocks and assess their effectiveness. Which of this time block is effective? Was this task which I have kept between 2:30 to 4:30 was effective enough to be executed, or would it need more time for me to bring down to a certain time frame? Probably I can push it forward early in the morning or probably late in the evening. You will have to also analyze how well you're adhering to the schedule and identify the areas of improvement or adjustments. So what I'm trying to tell you is time blocking is, a very valuable technique for effective time management, because by allocating a dedicated time block, we can enhance our focus, it improves our productivity, it improves the overall performance, and incorporate time blocking into your routine. It will adapt you to the specific needs, and you will also enjoy the benefits of better task management and increased productivity. So these were three techniques that we just discussed. One is to-do list, one is calendar and planners, and blocking time effectively. Let us go ahead and see the next technique, which is 4 quadrants of time management. Now, the 4 quadrants of time management are defined, or they come under 2 segments: urgency and importance. So there are certain tasks, there are certain goals which are urgent and important. There are certain tasks which are not urgent but important. There are certain tasks which are urgent but not important, and certain tasks which are neither urgent nor important. So everything, any task that comes to you, right? Usually for procrastinators, it is urgent and important because we tend to delay things. We overestimate our abilities. Yeah, we overestimate the availability of time, right? Which is why every task for them becomes, urgent and important. But at times, there are certain tasks like, crisis. Or if you look into, Jordan's case study, there was a task which was urgent as well as important. The meeting that his manager has asked him to attend on his behalf. Yes or no? There are certain medical emergencies which also fall under, urgent and important. So the quadrant that comes under urgent and important, we call it as a Q1 or quadrant of urgency. And trust me, you will have to spend a very lesser time here, because the more time you try to, spend on a quadrant of urgency, you will feel that you don't have time for yourself. Pressing problems, deadline driven projects where you had ample of time to work and, finish it before the deadlines, and your last minute preparations, all these will come under urgent and important, which we call it as quadrant of urgency. We will discuss these in detail in the upcoming slides. Second is not urgent but important. The tasks which are neither not urgent but are very important. Like for all of us are TTT certified trainers, right? We are trying to improve our skills. We are trying to, we are working towards improving our growth in a certain industry or a segment. So this is important for us, but it was not urgent. We took out certain time, we planned it, and then we thought of executing it, right? Such things which will help you in a long term and are directly aligned with your goals will come under things which are important for you but are not urgent. They can take time. So this is called as quadrant of quality. So under quadrant of quality, your preparation, your planning will come. Prevention, any task that you take as a prevention, or for an example, you have a soft skill training for conflict management around three weeks back, but you're trying to explore the content, and you take out certain time on a day-to-day basis and you're investing it, which comes under quadrant of quality. Your values clarification, your beliefs clarification will come under quadrant of quality. Relationship building, you take out time, you build relationship, you build rapport with people, you form groups. Though it was not urgent, yet it was very important for you to grow. professionally, right? And recognizing opportunities are a part of quadrant of quality. So all these things we will discuss in detail, which are not urgent for you, which you may not execute on a Saturday evening or Saturday on a Saturday. Yet, if you execute it, if you take out time and execute it, it will help you professionally or personally. Now, third is quadrant of distractions, unnecessary meetings, like a colleague coming up to you and uh, chit chatting for a thing which for a conversation which is of no significant value, right? So for them it must be urgent. They might take it as a point of distraction, but for you, though he came to you, you had to attend him, it was urgent, but it is not important. So what you can do, you can politely refuse or explain him that you are occupied, like the character did in the good time management, right? Or a call from your wife which could be urgent but not important, you attend it to her and tell her that since it is not urgent, you will talk to her once you are done with your day. So interruptions, certain calls, some emails which are urgent but may not be important. Now, you might have received an email notifying you about the change in the organization structure. It is urgent for you to understand, yet it is not important for you to action on it immediately. Some meetings, unnecessary meetings, or a meeting which is not relevant to you can also be avoided. It comes under quadrant of discussion. Many popular activities, probably your HR has conducted a certain activity on a Diwali day, yet you have a client meeting to attend. Such task will come to you as urgent, but it is not important, so you can distract it. Certain things. Now, under quadrant of distraction, you will also have to keep one thing in mind. The things which comes under quadrant of distraction can also be effectively delegated to others. Probably you have a relative who is expected to whom you are expected to receive at an airport, and then you have a client meeting on a Saturday morning. You can ask someone else to fetch him for you. Groceries, you can use tools like big basket or someone. You need not step outside and invest time. Someone else can do it for you, isn't it? Right? So any task which is urgent but which is not important for you, try to find out ways of effectively delegating it to a right person. I'm in a session, my phone is not with me. I keep it outside the room. I ask my wife to attend those calls because the calls must be urgent to attend. Yet these are not important for me for this 3 hours of time duration, kind of thing. Right. Now, this is called as quadrant of distraction. Again, the last but not least is a quadrant of waste, obstacles. How do you do that? I mean, what is this? This is neither urgent nor important. Junk emails, time wasters, spending time on social media, which is not adding, again, I'm reiterating, which is not adding a significant value to your goals, right? Escape activities. Probably you might have a training to deliver on Monday. You had ample of time to work on the content on Saturday and Sunday. Yet you say, I would probably sit on a Sunday evening and prepare a content. So you're overestimating your abilities, isn't it? Right? So escape activities will also come under quadrant of waste. You will have to eliminate it and you should do that task now. Viewing mindless shows, web series to distract you, it's good, but when you have tasks on your head, when you have certain actions to execute, you will have to keep them aside or eliminate. Let us understand this, these quadrants in detail. Now, quadrant one, which is urgent and important, we call it as quadrant of urgency. Now, like we said, it is do first. Anything which is urgent and important that comes under this quadrant, you will have to do it, execute it then and there itself. So which is why here in this quadrant, you will see all unforeseen events. You drop your responsibilities and focus on resolving urgent matters. Now this quadrant, it represents things which are both urgent and important. So we need to spend time here, much of a time here. But this is where we manage and produce. And how do you do that? Like, many important activities become urgent through procrastination. This is where you will have to think, form a grid, try to list all the activities on an Excel and, try to add 2 columns here, urgent, important, and try to mention which is urgent and which is not important. That's when you will realize, and the moment you are done, prioritize it to urgent and important. If you don't act on this now, you will, if you, if you end up procrastinating things, all those tasks will come and appear as urgent and important only. So many important activities become urgent through procrastination or because we don't do enough prevention or planning. Like I said, we had ample of time to work on the content, yet we didn't do it. And on Sunday evening or a Monday morning, it becomes urgent and important. So even though it is super stressful, many people spend their whole life, ample amount of time in this quadrant, which, lets them life problems like, taking control of activities or taking control of those situations. They lose control on those situations. Also, it is important to understand that if we spend too much time here in this quadrant, it will not allow you to grow much because you don't have time for the quadrant of quality. You have been delaying things. So that will also hamper your growth. So these tasks require immediate attention and should be prioritized, else it will have a negative impact on you. Now, coming to the second quadrant, which is quadrant of quality. This is not urgent, but can be very important. So it requires attention, but not critical, unlike quadrant one, right? It is not critical. So your preparations, your presentations, your planning, your relationship building, your true recreations, your empowerment skills, skill enhancement, all these things should be done here. No, it would be nice to do these things today, but they can also be put off on a later time. Because if these are not completed, nothing significant will happen. It will not have a negative impact immediately. So Stephen Covey, who has designed, this four quadrants of time management, he believes that highly effective people make time for Q2 activities, quadrant of quality activities. And by doing so, we reduce the time we spend in other quadrants. Because you're focused, you know what is expected out of you, you have a larger goal, right? Here is where we do our long range planning. You anticipate and prevent problems. Unlike Q1, where you don't have time to anticipate, you don't have time for prevention. Here, you anticipate and prevent problems. You empower yourself, you empower others, and that broadens your mind and increases your skills. So what will happen if you ignore this quadrant? Now, if you're ignoring this quadrant, will feed and enlarge your Q1. So what is Q1? Q1 is your quadrant of urgency. So when you ignore it, it will enlarge your Q1. Now, what will happen when, everything, if you don't plan or if you don't spend time in preventive measures, you will have a lot of stress. It will create stress, burnouts, panic attacks, deeper crisis. So when you invest time on Q2, it shrinks your Q1. That's a technique. So this is what quadrant of quality was all about. Now let us go and understand what is quadrant of distraction. The quadrant of distraction is a quadrant which is urgent but not important. So you have interruptions here. You have some phone calls which could have been attended on a later part of a day. Some emails which you could have probably organized in some other part of a day, like checking your junk emails, promotional emails, etc. That could have been done on a later part of a day when you have ample time for yourself. Some reports which may not be relevant for you. Some meetings where your involvement was not necessary and someone else from your team could be a part of it. Many proximate pressing matters and many popular activities where your involvement was not required, right? You can avoid those or delegate it. So there is no set time frame here. These are nice to do items, you feel good doing items. But if these items are not done, nothing significant will happen. So it is full of, counterproductive tasks that do not contribute much to your goals, that do not contribute much to your productivity, which is where you have to invest more time under Q2, which is quadrant of quality. Now, the noise of urgency, it creates an illusion of importance, which is why we have to be very mindful here. Actual activities, if they are important at all, are important to someone else too. Someone else can also do it for you. So try to find out what all activities are urgent but are not important and could be delegated to somebody else. Many phone calls, many meetings, drop-in visitors, they all fall under this category. So effective delegation is a technique that you can use to make sure that you spend less time under quadrant of distraction. Next is quadrant of waste, elimination. These are things which are neither important nor urgent. Your busy work, your trivia, junk emails, phone calls, escape activities, all these items are your time eaters. These activities are time eaters. So effective people, they stay out of Q3 and Q4 because urgent or not, they are not important for you. Q3 is urgent, but it's not important. Q4 is anyways not urgent, not important. So people will stay out of it. People will focus more on Q2, which is quadrant of quality, so that they get to spend less number of time under quadrant of Q1, which is quadrant of urgency. They also shrink your quadrant 1, like I said, to size, down to size. You will spend more time in Q2, which is the heart of effective personal management. Our own effectiveness take a quantum leap when we start doing things in Q2 on a regular basis. So it is very important that you take out time, some ample amount of time on a day, on a week, and spend on Q2. However, as you spend more and more time under Q4, which is quadrant of waste, all your energy gets sucked here. Probably you might have a presentation to make, but you ended up watching a web series of 4 hours. Your energy is drained. You're strained. You'll not be able to concentrate, put much concentration on that task. And you end up in procrastinating activities. You'll say, okay, let me take a small break and, check social media. You'll start scrolling things randomly online, but then you will not realize how much time you have already spent on it. So it is very easy for our brains to spend more time here in quadrant of waste, but it does not require any mental capacity. It will just make you avoid more important tasks during the day, which is why you have to be very mindful when you spend time on quadrant of waste. So these are what Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 are all about. I urge you, if possible, I'll have an Excel sheet shared. I have a macro enabled sheet where on the first sheet you list out all the tasks and you have 2 columns, which is where you can mention urgent or not urgent, important or not important, right? You jot down all the tasks that are expected out of you and just click on submit. In the sheet 2, you will find all these tasks are categorized under Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So that will help you to an extent to identify what are the tasks which are coming under quadrant of waste that can be eliminated, and what are the tasks that comes under quadrant of distraction that can be delegated to someone else can do it for you. So you have more number of time to spend on quadrant of quality. And when you work on that, when you start working on task on quadrant of quality, you will automatically see that your tasks which fall under quadrant of urgency, which are urgent and important, will reduce and you will have more time for yourself. Now that we understood what to-do planner is all about, how do we go ahead and create calendars and planners? How do we effectively block time? And we understood what each quadrant has in its place, and under what quadrant you can spend more number of time, and what quadrant you will have to be more careful of and eliminate certain activities. Let us understand 80-20 rule. But before that, let us quickly have a case study. Now I have 4 case studies with me for each quadrant. Quadrant of urgency, quadrant of quality, quadrant of distraction, and quadrant of waste, quadrant of elimination. So I'm going to present these case studies here. Let us discuss and see what best can be done. So I'm giving you 2 scenarios here for Q1 and Q2. We will start with Q1 first. So under Q1, this is a quadrant under which a task is urgent and important. So the situation is a project deadline here. So Sarah is a character. Sarah is a project manager. She's working on an important client project with a tight deadline. Now the client on the last minute has requested an additional changes that needed to be implemented immediately. Relatable, isn't it? For most of us. Yeah. So what effective measures should Sarah take to make sure that she's attending this task? What should be an action item and what can be a result once she implements that action item is what I wanted to know. We can discuss. It's not necessary that one of you only has to come up with an action item and results. We can discuss and contribute.
I mean, Sarah can bring to attention whether it's a part of scope or not. and get a clarity from the client as well before she even attends it. I mean, I assume Sarah is a woman.
Yes, she is. Okay. Anyone else? Tina,
No, I
Jugnu?
echo with Devendra before taking before going for implementation immediately as per client. See to discuss with client and try to understand whether it can be delayed or what appropriate action can be taken. So see to discuss with client before taking any further action.
Okay. So what would be the result, Jugnu, once if she implements the action that you said? What would be the result of that action?
So let's see what I found out based on my experience. If without discussion, if she implement immediately and she is not able to assess the impact, it may create additional work later. So it means that in without thinking and request from one way, it is going to be hampered at later stage.
Yeah, but the situation is different. It is urgent and important. She has to do it under any cost. Yes, Devendra.
Maybe she can buy a time when the client says that it's not in the scope, but we are requesting the change, then she can buy some more time. And then to that extent, this urgent and important is then addressed. If you can say that I would like to, the many stakeholders, I would come back, it's a good suggestion, would take a time, take that permission and
Or
then move
arrange
on.
for a resource. Yeah.
Yes, please. You're saying something, Jugnu.
And I'm saying that based on the, as Devan highlighted, that as a discussion, we will come to know that whether how much time additionally we can get or what are the additional resource we may need. So what I was trying to say that instead of directly going implementation mode, before that, let's see what are the options we have, whether we can delay it or whether what are the other implications maybe.
No, you can't delay. It is urgent. That's what the situation
I'm
is.
saying the urgent is coming. What I'm saying, is it urgent? Fine. It is urgent in the sense of client. But when you are assessing, is really urgent or not? That I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And when it is urgent, can we go for negotiation mode with the client? That what will happen if it not get implemented immediately?
Understood. Yes, Vibha.
Yeah, Sumit, just like I'm a little confused here. So if you say that this change is needed to be implemented immediately,
Yes.
so can she not take help of her team members to accomplish the task? If at
That's
all,
what I'm trying to understand. Yeah.
if at all it needs to be implemented immediately, right? So I think why not take help of the team members and accomplish it? If it has to be done, it has to be done, right? So there are two ways about it. So just get it done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll discuss on the results and action thing later. Let us look at the second scenario, which is not urgent but important. Okay, this is a quadrant of quality. Now, this is about personal development. So, John is a marketing professional. He wants to enhance his skills and knowledge to advance in his career. Now, he realizes the importance of continuous learning and development. Now, what action should John take here, considering this action item is not urgent but is important for his growth?
It on a regular basis.
Pardon?
So he has to be consistent, persistent in terms of acquiring skills.
Okay.
You know, in a way, you can put aside a particular slot for learning from
Makes
24
sense.
hours. So that way, but then you have to be really persistent.
I guess you can create a SMART goal for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Harshit.
absolutely, yes.
So first start with the SMART goal. He has to be very specific, and then he has to use another technique of the goals. Then after he'll be able to achieve certain criterias and reach somewhere. Otherwise, like it will again weak.
Okay.
I feel he should relieve himself from Q1 first. If at all any tasks are pending or some interventions are required from his side, that has to be completed on an urgent basis to relieve himself from that first, and then focus on upskilling himself so that he can have the quality time to upskill himself. That is what
But in,
I also
in actual practice, Isha, we never like get free from Q1. If we
Yeah,
don't
that
find time
I
for
do
Q2,
agree
we
that.
cannot get free from Q1. Always there's something urgent and important.
At
Then
least
we
we can
have to
have
make
some
priority
time
to the Q2.
slots.
Otherwise, we always be stuck up into Q1. Am I right?
Yeah, that I agree. Because suppose if Sarah and John are one and the same person, if I'm talking about. So once the task is complete, so at least I'm mentally relieved. Okay, this task is done, and now I can focus on the second one. This is my personal this thing. Before, even personally, before starting up for this TTT course, I finished off whatever things were lined up, and then I, focused on this particular course. So this helps me to, mentally relieve. Okay, fine, ye ho gaya, and now focus on the next task. Yeah.
So I agree with you, Isha and Tina. Tina, initially, yes, you will have to concentrate more on Q1 because we as an individual were not contributing much on Q2, quadrant of quality, which is why the tasks were piled up in Q1. But the moment you start giving time on Q2, probably your Q1 will come less. On a long term, if you make it consistent, you will definitely find time for Q2. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now let us see what results and what actions could these individuals take. Now coming to Sarah's case, like Vibha said, Sarah prioritizes the client's request and allocates her team resources to address the changes promptly. She's a team manager. She's a project manager. So she had certain resources, with her. So she could go ahead and allocate it to one of her team member to address the changes promptly. However, she will also have to make sure that she uses effective communication. She communicates the team the urgency, of the requirement from a client, and make sure that everyone is aligned to complete the task within a given time frame. Sarah can also give a constructive approach or a detailed approach as to how the task could be executed. Right? Now, what will happen if she takes this action? By addressing the urgent and important task first, Sarah will be successfully able to meet the client expectation and deliver the project on time. This will help her maintain a good relationship with client and ensure the project success. Right? So at times under Q1 also, you will have to make sure, realize whether it can be delegated to someone, whether you have someone with the right skill and ability, then I believe things will definitely fall in place. Now coming to Q2, for John's case, John will do what he will do is he will schedule time every week to engage in activities like we just discussed, right? You will have to give ample of time for quadrant of quality, because if you don't do that, you will have Q1 piled up. So he will schedule time every week to engage in activities like reading books or attending webinars. All of us attend webinars from upper and Rahul. I make a point that every Thursday I'm available as and when there is a webinar, because you as a trainer will get content. You as a trainer will also be able to understand the kind of questions the audience would pose to you, and it will help you to anticipate the questions and prepare yourself in a very effective way. Right. So he will make sure that he reads certain industry books, or he attends webinars or take online courses. He will block off specific hours in his calendar and treat these activities as important appointments. So when you block off it in a calendar, you will definitely, obviously, you will block off the, you will prioritize the tasks which are under Q1, yet you also take out time for Q2. Now, what will happen? What is the result of this action? By consistently dedicating his time to quadrant 2, for his personality development, for his personal development or skill enhancement, he will be able to acquire new skills and stay updated with the latest trends in the market. Now, that will also help him to perform his job better, and that will also increases the opportunities of career growth and advancement. Isn't it? So this is how you will have to identify, gauge the situation, identify whether the situation falls under Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Try to find out a right action item, and also when you when you think of an action item, also think of the results the action item would deliver. Now I have similar situations for Q3 and Q4 here. Under Q3, which is urgent but not important. So this is a situation of a meeting interruption. Most of us are victims of meeting interruptions, at workplace. So Lisa is a department head. She's responsible for managing multiple projects that involves her to converse with, multiple teams. However, while at work, she frequently gets interrupted by colleagues asking for guidance, asking for updates that hampers her productivity and focus. So what best action could Lisa take here to make sure that she avoids these distractions, these frequent distractions. Coming to quadrant 4, we have a situation where the character is a victim of excessive social media usage. So Mark is an entrepreneur. He's running his own business. So for him, his presence on social media is very important. However, he realizes that he spends a significant amount of time scrolling on social media platforms, which distracts him from important business tasks. So what action would Mike take to make sure that he eliminates this distraction? So let us discuss the Q3 part first. Let us discuss Lisa's case where she's a department head. She's responsible for managing multiple projects. No, but she has a problem. She, is getting frequently interrupted by her colleagues who ask her updates, inputs, and all, which is hampering her productivity. She probably have to work after work hours to make sure that all her tasks are completed in a day or a week. So what right action could Lisa take here? What do you think should be a right approach, and what would be the result of that approach?
I think she could categorically say that I'm currently occupied, and if at all you need some guidance or any update, I can put aside some time block for you where I can help you with any questions or queries.
She can also inform well in advance about the meeting that is scheduled, and give a time slot in advance, saying that she will be available for any queries after the meeting, so people can clarify their doubts after the meeting as such.
And one more thing, she should give the guidance properly in the advance. I think people are seeking so much guidance and updates. It means there is some communication gap. So she put everything on paper or black and white. She gave a clear guidance to the people. So if, many a time disruptions or doubts should not be there.
Amazing.
I think I would add my cent as well, in the sense that 2-3 things comes to my mind. One is creating a document that would usually address the queries that comes in managing the projects. So the less urgent matter would automatically get reported, and then have a list of delegation or empowering the people who can address it, even though it reaches to her. That's another way to look for making her time bit free to move herself into the Q2. And these are the 2 things that came to my mind.
Thanks, Devendra. Amazing. Anyone else would like to contribute your thoughts here? Supra, Monica, Geetika?
No, Sumit.
Okay. So we agree with most of the points that were discussed here. Amazing. So now let us come back to Mark's case. He's an entrepreneur. Now, like Ajay said, I am a businessman. I have to be on social media. Yet this character Mark has realized that he's spending a significant time on social media, and which is distracting him on focusing on important business tasks, probably meetings, appointments, and all. So what should he be doing here? What action should Mark take here?
He should keep his notifications off first. And he should also categorize like which is the social media platform where he's spending more time. For instance, let's say he's scrolling just reels, which is not useful at all. So he can just delete that icon for time being. So it's just not there on phone. He can also keep his phone aside while he's working on any project, like we saw in the video. कि phone ही हलक कर दिया और कुछ नहीं हो रहा है तो throw off your phone. So, yeah.
Thanks, Vibha. Yes, Tina.
Yeah, I think time blocking is the best technique for Mark, because once he's blocking time for one activity and then finishing that up, and because social media is a business tool for him, he cannot avoid it. So he must have to block the time for social media. It may be more, because that is the only way he is doing his business. So it can be more enough, but again he has to block everything every time, the client meeting, and he has to prioritize which social media and what kind of content. And he can take help of the certain tools to save the time, like ChatGPT is there. Some freelancers are also working in the market. He can take help of them in the making content writing and some other things if he's taking much of the time in making the content only. So that way he can save the time and be more engaged in the multiple tasks.
I think
Thanks,
we can
Tina.
even
Thank you so
focus
much.
and follow specific post only,
Yeah.
Mhm.
post or videos or whatever is relevant to his business. He needs to follow that only. So
Yeah,
that will
just
help him
align.
to avoid the clutter which is around.
Actually, distraction is so much. You might be watching a particular post that is suitable for your job. But there's so many other distractions that you'll start scrolling other stuff. So that also happens.
So yeah, that has to be avoided. Yeah.
So I think he should practice mindfulness.
Yes.
Yes.
I think
Agree.
filter down the sites that he's visiting or getting distracted with and align it with his job requirements.
Amazing. Thanks, Arun. Thanks, Vibha. Thank you, Tina, Isha, and Devendra. Thank you, everyone, for your inputs. So let us look at the actions and results. Now, coming back to Lisa's case, Lisa would definitely, since it is a quadrant of distraction, right? You will have to find someone to whom this task can be delegated. Lisa identifies a colleague who can handle these interruptions, a subject matter expert probably, right? And who can, handle these interruptions and delegates them as a first point of contact for general inquiries or updates. Probably if the issues are not resolved by him, they might come to Lisa, but that will, shorten the interruptions that she faces at the workplace. Yes or no? She communicates this change to her team and she ensures that they are equipped to handle such requests. However, what all we just discussed can also be applied here, and it will give the same results. Now, results would be, by delegating the task of handling interruptions, Lisa can focus more on important and strategic activities. And it will, when she started focusing more on the strategic activities, her productivity will increase, but obvious, and she can dedicated uninterrupted time to critical tasks. That will also result in improving efficiency and a better outcome of the project. Coming to Mike's case, what Mike can do is, Mike, like you all said, filter all such nonsense pages that you follow and set strict boundaries on your social media usage. He limits the access to social media during work hours and deletes unnecessary apps from his phone. I did that because I was so what do I say, attracted by this DIY thing during the COVID, that my Instagram, Facebook, everything was filled up with the DIY activity. So I used to find all garbage at home and create something nonsense out of it. But then the moment I was out of this work from home environment and I started working from office, I realized that I got so habituated of scrolling these pages, and I would invest minutes in thinking what would I do with a glass jar that is lying at the corner of a kitchen, or what would I, how would I go ahead and create a planter. Then I would go back to YouTube, search for videos in which I can create a planter out of a glass jar, and then I realized that it is hampering my productivity, right? And immediately after my TTT certification, I have created my, I have revised my profiles, from a private page to public page, be it my Instagram or Facebook. And then I branded myself as a certified corporate trainer, etc., etc. Then I started filtering out all these pages where I was spending much time. And then I started, following pages which could give me an insight on using AI for presentation skills, how to do effective webinars and all. During all these things, I started following those pages. So when I started following these pages, and as and when I have time now, I get to see some or the other video that helps me to make my job much more easier, that helps me to make PPTs in a very lesser time frame, that helps me to come up with amazing graphics to grab the attention of my audience while I present them a presentation, a deck. So I save them, and as and when I have time. Now I don't watch them then and there itself. I save them. I've now started saving them, and as and when I have time on weekends or something, or when I'm waiting for someone, or when I'm at functions, I get bored, I start scrolling all these things. So that is how you set boundaries. It's like you don't close the doors or don't eliminate it completely, rather make out a significant use of that application. So this was my experience. I thought I'll share it with you. I mean, that where I was able to effectively manage time, avoiding much time for scrolling and all. It happens with each one of us. I mean, you also end to procrastinate when you get habituated on scrolling on social media. No matter how important task you have on your head, you always overestimate your abilities, saying, "Okay, I can prepare a content in an hour, but it will take around 5 to 6 hours." because you will also have to assess the audience that you are training, level of the audience that you train, and then prepare content accordingly. Something or the other, that is when I realized, that I was overestimating my abilities, and I have to sit, be focused, work on this task first, and then make sure that, I spend time on rest of the things. Okay, so these were few case studies. Now, related to four quadrants of time management. Now comes your 80-20 rule. Now, if you can see here, 80-20 rule is a Pareto principle. I say the Pareto principle is a phenomenon that states that roughly 80% of outcomes will come from 20% of causes. Or in any situation, 20% of your inputs or activities are responsible for 80% of outputs or results. So in case if you have prepared a to-do list, you list out all your tasks, but it is advisory that you work on 20% of tasks which are very critical and that will consume a higher amount of time. Right, so you have scope to work on other tasks. We will discuss this in detail. So if you have any kind of work that can be segmented into smaller portions, Pareto principle can help you identify what part of a work is more influential. So you spend more time on that. Now, how do you use the tool? You can use 80-20 rule to prioritize the task that you need to get done during the day. It will help you boost your productivity. The idea is that out of your entire task list, completing 20% of those tasks will result in 80% of the impact you can create for a day. So in order to get the most impact done, what you will have to do is you will have to identify which tasks have the most impact, higher impact on your team or on your dependents, and focus on those for the day. So it's a very simple technique. You list out all the things you need to, do. You list out all the things you need to get done on that particular day, then identify which of those tasks have the highest impact. Now, once you've identified the impact of the task, do any of your tasks, think whether any of your tasks involve collaborating with other teammates or has any dependencies. Are there any such tasks on your plate that are blocking projects from moving forward? Now, these tasks may be simple in execution, but they can make a larger impact to the rest of the team by allowing the process to keep flowing. If you won't do that, you will again have high number of interruptions at workplace. People will start coming to you for inputs. People will start coming to you for clarifications and all. Right? Coming to decision making, your Pareto principle can help.
I'm
Yes,
sorry,
please.
Sumit, to interrupt. You said one is look into if you can collaborate with someone. And what was the other immediate point you made?
Okay, one was you will have to make sure that you will identify whether there are any dependencies and whether there are tasks that will involve collaborating with other teammates. Rest is, are there any tasks on your plate that are blocking projects from moving forward?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well, so decision making is another important aspect. Here, the Pareto principle can help you make the best decisions during the problem solving process. Rather than one person working on a task, if you start, if you collaborate with others, involve all the stakeholders or people who are working on a project and seek inputs, you will be able to come up with an amicable solution where everyone will be able to contribute effectively. So when there are many different causes to one problem, the Pareto principle can help you prioritize solutions. Now here are, let me give you some steps on how it works. What you have to do is, if you will have to identify the problems that your team is experiencing. Now, these are the problems that you're trying to find a solution to within this decision-making process. Now, once you have identified the problems, use tools like 5i process. Now, 5i process is a very simple yet very effective tool. You just have to question 5 times. Now, there is a delay in preparing a presentation or a deck. Why is there a delay? Because I was not having access on my official laptop. I was not able to invest time during office hours. Why were you not having access? Because because I was trying to work on this content during office hours. Why were you trying to work on this content during office hours? Because I was watching web series, or I was spending time, on certain unimportant calls during my personal hours. Now, why were you doing that? Because I was getting distracted. Now, this is the solution. What do? You will avoid distraction rather than trying to, squeeze out time from your work hours. You will use effectively the personal hours that you have. You will use the hours that you have on weekend. Right? So try to use these 5i techniques. Once you identify the cause of these problems by using such tools, you find out all the causes of the problems you're trying to solve. Once you have the problems, once you have the causes, you categorize the problems into similar groups. If some of the causes of the problems you're trying to solve can fall into similar categories, use this as an opportunity to group them together. This can help you decide if one solution can resolve multiple issues. Probably I was working on one of a Six Sigma project where we got to see that there are a customer is calling up to a call center repeatedly, and usually your client won't pay you for repeat calls because they believe that it could have been a first time resolution. So when we started identifying the problem, we got to see that this problem is recurring from last 3 months. Then we have filtered it, saying under which teams do we were the quality was a under which departments or which sections was a quality team trying to has found out during their audits that they are the highest contributors. We found out certain departments. Then we have filtered it in the form of products. For what products would your customer call back again and again? During that time, around 2009 or 10, it was Hello Tunes, which were newly introduced. So the people were calling again and again to the call center for that product inquiry. And then we got to understand that it's because the information is not available on the website, or apps were not available during those days. We started creating a recorded message, an IVR message. So that was one solution. So the moment a customer would call up to the call center for a Hello Tune, the executive will help him with the information, and as a thank you message, he will also send him the recording on his phone. So if a customer has to fetch the same information again, he did not call up to the call center. He will go back and listen to the recording and help himself. That is how IVR was introduced in those days. Right now, everything is under IVR currently, but this is how one solution for all problems. Right. So you will also have to identify, once you identify such causes, it will help you decide if one solution can resolve multiple issues. Now, once you do that, assign a value to each of these problems based on the impact to the business or impact on you. The value can be as simple between 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 based on the severity of a problem, based on the relevance of the problem and occurrence of the problem. Or you can add a monetarily value to indicate the importance. Once you do that, you develop a plan to focus on those top 20 problems, because on a day, or if you have a list of 10 problems, it is not at all possible for you to work on every problem at the same time. You will have to give a severity number, try to see how severe it is, how recurring it is, try to see the occurrence or the detectability, whether is it easily detectable, or you are able to detect it only after a damage has happened. Give a severity number and work on vital few. Once you do that, once you develop a plan, to focus on the top 20 problems that impacts the business or that impacts your day or your productivity, the idea is that one solution can resolve multiple problems. Now, based on the values that you have assigned to each problem, calculates which one are in top 20. Once you have identified the main problem, you develop a plan to create a solution. Now, the solution should result in 80% of the results using problem solving strategies. I will play a video that will help you understand 80-20 rule in a very better way. I just found it today morning.
Ask for the job you want. Ask for the salary you want. Ask for the responsibility. Hello, I'm Brian Tracy, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of the most helpful concepts of time and life management. It's called the 80-20 rule. Now, the 80-20 rule is also called the Pareto principle, named after its founder, the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, in 1895. He noticed that people in society seemed to divide naturally into what he called the vital few, or the top 20%, in terms of money, property, and influence, and the trivial many, or the bottom 80%. Later, he discovered that virtually all economic activity was subject to this same principle, in that 80% of the wealth of Italy during that time was controlled by 20% of the population. We can take Pareto's 80-20 rule and apply it to almost any situation. In particular, we can apply it to goal setting and productivity. According to this principle, 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. That means if you have a list of 10 items to accomplish, 2 of those items will turn out to be worth more than the other 8 items put together. The sad fact is that most people procrastinate on the top 10 or 20% of items that are the most valuable and important, the vital few that account for all your success, and instead they busy themselves with the least important 80%, the trivial many that contribute very little or nothing to their success. So here's what you should do in order to effectively apply the 80-20 rule to goal setting and to your overall productivity. First, take a piece of paper and write down 10 goals. Then ask yourself, if you could only accomplish one of the goals on that list today, within 24 hours, which one goal would have the greatest positive impact on your life? I ask this question of my clients all over the world. What is your most important goal in life right now, which you need to know, by the way, if you want to be successful? Then pick the second most important goal. What you'll find is that after you complete this exercise, you will have determined the most important 20% of your goals that will help you more than anything else you do. Second, you should work at those goals that you have chosen all the time. You often see people who appear to be busy all day long, but seem to accomplish very little. This is almost always because they're busy working on tasks that are of low value or no value, while they are procrastinating on the one or two activities that can make a real difference to their companies and to their careers. The most valuable tasks you can do each day are often the hardest and most complex, but the payoff and rewards for completing them can be tremendous. They can actually change your whole future. Before you begin work, always ask yourself, is this task in the top 20% of my activities, or is it in the bottom 80%? The rule for this is simple. Resist the temptation to clear up small things first. That's the greatest killer. We become so involved in little things, and little things multiply. They just become more and more, and at the end of the day, you're exhausted and you've accomplished nothing. If you choose to start your day working on low-value tasks, you'll soon develop the habit of always starting and working on low-value tasks. You'll be like the horse that pulls the wheel around in a circle all day, never makes any progress. Finally, I want to tell you about a study that's just been done about the attitudes of rich people versus poor people with regard to goal setting. What they found is that 85% of rich people have one big goal that they work on all the time. Only 3% of poor people have a big goal, and they don't work on it very much. So if you want to be wealthy, do what wealthy people do. Pick one big goal and work on it all the time. And if you do, it will change your life. Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a thought to share with your friends and followers. It is this: when your goals are clear, you will come up with exactly the right answer to achieve your goals at exactly the right time. So those are my strategies for applying the 80-20 rule to goal setting. If you haven't seen my other videos about goal setting and increasing your productivity, take a look. Now, I'd love to hear from you, so my question today is, do you use the 80-20 rule for goal setting and time management? And if you do, what changes have you noticed in your life? Leave a comment below, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. Thanks for watching.
Okay. So what did we learn? I mean, what are your thoughts on this video?
For me, it was an eye-opener.
Vibha, I think probably he has answered your question, how to get rich faster.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a revelation, and I quickly realized, oh, this is where am I wasting my time? Yeah.
Great.
I'll apply this little, but yes.
I'm
So
glad.
I think he
Thanks.
mentioned something about working on a big goal all the time. So concentrating on a big goal.
Yes, yes.
That's one big goal, he says.
Rich people have one big goal. Yeah, that's what he said,
So
right?
which would have maximum impact. So take that up instead of working on trivial ones
Yeah.
and wasting your time. I think that's the take. And I need to follow him because I need a lot of answers.
Actually, yeah.
Aren't we also able to relate it with time quadrant? I mean, the big goal is a part of your quadrant of quality, isn't it?
Yes,
And the
yes,
smaller goals are a part of quadrant of urgency. Less
Correct.
impact, but they eat up much of your time, and they distract you from achieving your goals, or they eat up much time of yours, isn't it? Yeah. Anything else that you have realized, or you find it worth implementing?
Planning and listing all the ideas that to have clarity.
Thanks,
I
Jogo.
mean, assuming that you have capabilities which you really don't have unless you really look, there are tools available that would make your productivity go up, in my opinion, at least by 20%. In just getting organized, for example, one of the insight. Thank you.
Thanks, Dev.
I think first, most important is to have that clarity. What is most important at this point in time? You have that clarity and the rest will follow. Or else you'll always be lost.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Let's move forward and see how do we overcome procrastination. Now, there are few common forms of procrastination here. I'll list them out for you. So what exactly is procrastination? I mean, it's an act of delaying. I mean, you just end up delay things or postpone tasks or activities, which will often result in decreased productivity and increased stress. So if you procrastinate, you always find yourself under Q1, quadrant of urgency, like we discussed. Yes or no? Now, overcoming procrastination is very essential because it will help you to improve your time management and achieve your goals effectively, like he just said. And it will also give you time to work on Q2, which is your quadrant of quality. Now, let us see how do we overcome the procrastination here. Why do people procrastinate? They ignore the task most often. I mean, they just ignore and they say, hopefully, they might not have to act on it and it will get resolved on its own. Second, doing not important and not urgent tasks, something which is of a very lesser importance or which is of a very shorter value or which will take a very small amount of time. We will believe that, okay, let us do this first, and then we will take out time to do things which will need more time or more focus. So this is one mistake why, people procrastinate. Talking rather than not doing. Most of them, they say, we are multitaskers, but they only keep talking about it instead of taking any actions. So if you talk much and act less, it's another form of procrastination. Not multitasking, hopping from one task to another without giving attention or without focusing on execution or without, creating a blocks, without categorizing them to achieve one solution for all the causes. Like I kept saying throughout the session, overestimating your abilities is another form of procrastination. Okay, I would be able to execute it in an hour, but again, you will end up taking around 6 to 7 hours to work on the activity. So you overestimate your ability here and underestimating how long will it take. So these are few forms of procrastination. If we start working on it, avoiding these, probably we will be able to avoid procrastination. Now let us see how do we overcome procrastination. Understand the root causes. Very important, because procrastination can stem from various factors, including a fear of failure. Most of them, this is the first reason why people procrastinate. It's not because of a will issue. They believe there is a skill issue. They believe that they might get failed. There is a fear of failure. There is always a zeal of perfectionism. Again, when you aim for perfection, you're less productive then. And there is a lack of motivation. Most of the time, there is always a lack of motivation, a low morale, and there is a feeling of overwhelm. So when you're overwhelmed, when you lack motivation, when you always aim for perfection, and when there is a fear of failure, people tend to procrastinate things. Now you will have to
Sorry, Sumit. Yeah, I would just, that's exactly what I was thinking. One reason for procrastination is that sometimes the difficulty level is so high that you think if I, actually just keep giving all my time here, might be there are some tasks which I could finish, for which I am skilled. I know how to go about it. So I might put this aside. And of course, when you find it difficult, again, your concept of failure, fear of failure, or not accomplishing it, does fit in there.
Exactly. Yes, Arun. And at the same time, I mean, you would also be able to relate. I have personally felt when I, procrastinate a bigger task, which is of a higher impact, and work on smaller tasks, just to have a sense of satisfaction that I was able to execute too many things in a day. I always carry that stress of executing that task while I'm performing on this task, smaller task.
Exactly. Definitely.
Yeah. So this is a problem, and then you will not be able to give your 100% in it. So, which is why, and most of the time we over assume things. No, Arun, it happens with us. Like, we may think that, this task is so bigger, and the moment you sit, work on it, you will realize that this was very simple. And
No,
you were
not
just
bigger. I meant difficulty level. Say, for
Difficult, yes.
example, there's a task on hand which I know will have a great impact if I get into this. But then I know that it is difficult, and I will need a lot of time to put into this to understand. So maybe I'll tell myself, okay, can I put this aside today? Which I'm just talking about myself. That's one reason why I would procrastinate. Maybe I have to change my way of thinking now.
Yeah. So probably you will have to eat the bigger frog first. If you have to eat 2 frogs, one
I'll
is a
have to
smaller and
swallow one. Yeah, I'll have to
yeah,
swallow
you
it.
have to swallow a bigger frog first.
Thank you.
Okay. The moment you understand the root causes and you identify the underlying reasons for procrastination, it is crucial for developing effective strategies that will help you to develop effective strategies or action items to overcome it. Now, second is break task into smaller steps. Like larger task, like Arun was saying, larger, when we speak about larger task, it could be a task of a higher difficulty. So when these can feel overwhelming and contribute to procrastination. So what you can do is you can break them into smaller and manageable steps. By breaking them into smaller and manageable steps, you will make it less intimidating and easier to start. So what happens here? It will help you to focus on completing one step at a time, building a momentum along the way. Yeah. Then third is set clear goals and deadlines, like we just learned from this 80/20 wala video. So you will have to clearly define your goals, and establish specific deadlines against each goal. The moment you do that and you set realistic and achievable targets, that will provide a sense of urgency and a purpose. So how can we do that? We can use tools. We can use tools like calendars. We can task management tools or planners or any such app that can keep a track of those deadlines. Once you set up deadlines, you will have to make sure that you prioritize and plan. How do you do that? Prioritize the task based on their importance and urgency. Create a daily, weekly plan outlining the task to be completed. Try to complete as many tasks as you can from the Q1, the quadrant of urgency, and allocate dedicated time slots for this task. Make sure that you have a structured approach towards it. Once you do that, you will find, an ample amount of time to work on quadrant of quality. Like we have been discussing, managing distractions, a major problem in procrastination. So identify the common distractions and develop strategies to minimize them, minimize the impact of those distractions. Create a conducive work environment by eliminating unnecessary interruptions. We have seen few case studies as well in past slides. We can use those techniques. We can use productivity techniques like 80/20 rule to maintain focus. Once we do that, you can also work on utilizing time management techniques. Time management techniques like 4 quadrants of time management is a wonderful tool that you can use, followed by 80/20 to have smart goals, right? Use these techniques to block your time, create a to-do list, and which will help you to better allocate and manage your task effectively. Try always to experiment with different strategies, to find what works best for you. For me, 80-20 rule may work best, but for you, it could be a quadrant of time management. So try to, experiment with these strategies and see what fits in for your personality and go ahead. Once you do that, be accountable. Practice self-discipline and accountability, which is very important. I have to do it now under any cost. I'm not, once you decide on that, once you say, I'll do it now, do it now, do it now, you're creating an environment around you where you're blocking the distractions. Cultivate a self-discipline, but by holding yourself accountable for your actions, because somewhere on or the others, there are people who are dependent on you. It could be a project, it could be an actionable, it could be a reward, it could be anything. And always set personal rewards. Appreciate yourself. Set personal rewards or consequences for completing or failing to complete the task, which is very important. Consider finding an accountability partner as well, or a joining support group to stay motivated or on track. But before that, before you form a group or before you find the accountability partner, it is very important that you become accountable first. Overcome fears and avoid perfectionism. Recognize, we'll have to recognize that perfectionism and fear of failure are the major contributors of procrastination, because you'll have to embrace that idea of progress over perfection and focus on the imperfection action, because only when you practice, the things will get better. Always channel the positive thoughts, challenge your negative thoughts and replace them with the positive affirmations to overcome fear. No, I can able to do that. I have that ability, I have that skill, I have that morale of executing this task within a set deadline. Always do that. Seek support, seek help, go to peers, go to senior colleagues, or people whom you find are very good at time management. Don't hesitate to seek support from people. Don't hesitate to seek support from colleagues, mentors, or your friends, right? You share your goals with them, share your progress with others to gain encouragement. The moment people will encourage, it will enhance your accountability as well. Now consider seeking professional help or a guidance if it is required, if procrastination persists, and if it is significantly impacting your life, because you will end up being a victim of mental health. So what I'm trying to tell you is, overcoming procrastination is a key strategy, key step towards, managing your time effectively. And it will help you to achieve your personal and professional goals too. The moment you understand the root causes of, procrastination, the moment you start implementing the strategies, the techniques that we just discussed, and practice discipline along with it, you will be able to overcome procrastination and unlock your full potential. You're worth doing that. You have all those skills of executing those tasks and reaching those goals. All you have to do is step forward and block the distractions. Now, once we are done, implementing the techniques of overcoming procrastination, now that we understood, let us look at this video on how, effectively we can overcome the procrastination.
If you do the right things in the right manner. Hello, I'm Brian Tracy, and one of the topics that I can never seem to provide enough information about is overcoming procrastination. Procrastination continues to be one of the largest enemies of our productivity, and if we don't find effective ways to break this habit, it has the potential to completely derail our path towards success. In life, every single person wants to earn more money. They want to be more successful. They want to have a nicer home, nicer car, more money in the bank, and no financial worries. And the key to achieving these goals is to learn how to get more and better results. I know that you might be thinking, Brian, I've tried everything. I've set goals. I've created a time management schedule, but nothing seems to work for me. This brings me to our first strategy for overcoming chronic procrastination, and it's simply this: change your thinking. I've said this before over and over to millions of people around the world, because the truth is, if you change your thinking, you'll change your life. Here's a trick for pulling yourself away from the temptation to procrastinate. Just say the words, do it now, do it now, do it now. These magic words will motivate you and push you to get started. When you repeat these words often enough, the message will get pushed deep into your subconscious and act as a trigger for getting things done right away. If you spend all of your time thinking about how your habit of chronic procrastination gets in the way of all of your goals and motivation and dreams, then your subconscious mind will accept that as the truth, and that's how your life will continue to be. If instead you spend your time thinking about how wonderful you are at getting difficult and important tasks done right away, and how incredibly organized you are with your time, then your subconscious mind will start to accept that as the truth, and you will start doing more of those things that overcome procrastination and get more things done faster. So that's the first critical step in not only changing your habit of procrastination, but also any habit in general. Change your thinking. The next strategy is from my best-selling book on time management, Eat That Frog. And it is this: if you have to eat more than one live frog, that's what I like to call a daunting project or task, a live frog, then you should eat the ugliest frog first, and you should do it right away without any delay. It doesn't do you any good to stare at the ugly live frog in front of you, this big task, if you simply resolve to take action and get it over with. Your entire life will be uninhibited by the daunting tasks that once prevented you from moving forward. It's important to remember that you cannot manage time. Time exists completely out of our control. So you can't manage time. What you can do is to manage your life. Time management really is just life management. It is the management of the sequence of events in your life. It's the ability to choose what you do first, what you do second, and what you do later, if at all. And in this ability to choose lies your entire life. When you choose the most important thing, and you choose to do that first, and you choose to do that rather than anything else, you immediately put your life onto the fast track. In fact, you can actually double your productivity, performance, and output in one day simply by changing your order of choices in the way that you use your time. Now let's talk about the best way to use our time in order to move us closer to our goals. The way to do this is by developing a single-minded focus on the things you need to do that will have the most important and beneficial impact on your life right now. Whenever you're faced with a task, you must first ask yourself, what are the consequences of doing or not doing this? And if the consequences of not doing something are irrelevant, then don't do it. And do the things that have serious, immediate consequences. So here's what you should do each morning to set yourself up for success and to determine which tasks you need to get started on right away to make a sizable difference in your life. Plan each day in advance. Take time each morning to address your major goals and then write out a list of things you need to do that day in order to get closer to those goals. Set priorities on each item so you don't skip your most important tasks. And then get to it. When you jump right into the workday and start on something really important right away, the level at which you work for the rest of the day will be increased. Before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a thought to share with your friends and followers. It is this: if you do the right things in the right way, you will get whatever results you desire. Now, I'd love to hear from you. So my question today is this: what is one critical task that you have been putting off? And what will you do today to start working on that task? Leave a comment below and I'll be sure to follow up with you.
Yes, please. So are we thinking on that one critical task that we have been putting away from a very long time? Great, great. Thanks. So what are your takeaways from this video? I mean, I would love to hear that.
Wake up. Yeah, start doing it right away. Like he
Yes,
asked
do
in
it
the
now.
last slide, what is the one important thing that you have been putting off? So I got the answer immediately. And once this webinar is over, I'll start working on that.
Amazing, amazing. I'm glad to hear that, Vibha.
Yeah, thank you.
I really like the idea where he said that, plan your day ahead. So until recently, I was more of a procrastinator ki chalo ab kar lenge types. But lately I have started noting down in bullet points what do I have to do the other day. Like one night prior, I usually write down things in a journal or a diary simply or notepad and all. And it really helps a lot while we, look at the tasks in hand, and we have a full day of planned. It's already planned basically. We know exactly what we have to do, and the rest of the things, prioritization and all, which we have already discussed so far, they come along. But the first step, which he just said, that plan your day ahead, I think that's a very powerful thing. Once you have written down the things, then only you will be able to bifurcate them into the prioritization part and the quadrant or 80-20. Then only you will be able to do that.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks, Geetika.
I think for me, the word that really came out was focus. So focus on the things you're doing. I think that was the magic word that came out.
I like the
Thank
part of
you.
self-talking, wherein
Hmm.
like he said that do it now, do it now. That is self-talking. Implement that things and there'll be wonders. That is what I like.
Amazing. Okay, thank you so much for your contribution. Now that we understood, how do we overcome procrastination? Let us just allow me some minutes. I'm sure it's already 1:30. I'll just take few more minutes of yours and then we'll close this. I'm so sorry that it got, beyond what we have planned for. It was supposed to end up by 1 o'clock. Just allow me a few minutes and this is probably the last slide of the presentation. So effective delegation. Now we have been discussing things, right? That, delegation is very important. You will have to find out what all tasks could be delegated so you have more room to work on quadrant of quality. So delegation is nothing but it's a process of, assigning tasks and responsibilities to others while retaining accountability for the outcome. I mean, though you have assigned the task, but you are the primary person or you are primarily accountable for the consequences. So it is very important that you delegate the task effectively to a right person. So effective delegation, we call, it is very essential for maximizing your productivity. It is also essential, it helps you to foster a network at workplace or at home or in personal relationships, and it focuses more on high impacting activities. Now, how do we do that? You clearly define the task. This is one thing. Clearly communicate the task objective. Again, we are coming back to the same factor, effective communication for time management. Clearly communicate the task objectives, your requirements, expected outcomes, to the person whom you are delegating a task to. Also, provide necessary resources or sufficient context or resources to make sure that a clear understanding of the task importance is given to him and how it fits into the bigger picture. To help him with SOPs, help him with, constructive approach on executing the task. Once you do that, choose the right person. Whenever you're trying to delegate a task to someone, always assess the skill, experience of the person and the capability of a potential delegate. When you are able to assess the skill, when you understand his experience and his capability, then you try to match the task to his interest, his strengths, and his expertise to increase the chance of success. Once you do that, consider the workload. It is very important that you consider the workload and the availability of the person as well to make sure that they have necessary time and the capacity to work on the dedicated task. Once the right person is chosen, you will also delegate the authority, not just the task. This happens most of the time that we end up giving the task, but the required authority is not given to the person. So for him, it will be very challenging. It will add stress to execute the task. So you will have to make sure that you're empowering the person with the necessary authority and the decision making power to complete the task effectively. Second, you will also provide an autonomy or a freedom to him to make the decisions and take necessary actions within the delegated scope. And always trust his abilities and avoid micromanaging. You trust the abilities, you avoid micromanagement, but you also maintain an open line of communication. So that will boost up the morale of a person, to whom the task is delegated. Clear deadlines and expectations is an again important factor. So always set realistic deadlines and milestones to guide the dedicated work. Try to do a frequent review to see the progress of the task that is assigned. Always communicate the expectations clearly. Regarding, it could be regarding the quality standards, deliverables, it could be reporting requirements. Always give necessary and instructions and maintain a clear communication. Like I said, once you do that, regularly check on the progress and provide feedback to ensure that the alignment is right and you address any issues that comes promptly. Along with it, provide adequate support and resources. Now that you have delegated a task, you will have to ensure that the person has the access to those resources. It could be an access to a printout. It could be an access to a certain, brainstorming room. It could be an access to make a decision or send an email to a particular group. It could be an access to that information portal and the necessary tools to complete the task successfully. Always be ready to offer your guidance, coach him, train him as needed to enhance his or her skills and knowledge. And be available, give your time, be available for the questions and provide ongoing support to the person throughout the delegated process. Communicate and foster collaboration. Delegation also helps you to improve your collaboration and build a team. It is one of a important skill of a team building. So always establish open communication, encourage regular updates, encourage regular feedback and discussions with the person to whom the task is delegated. Encourage collaboration and teamwork by facilitating communication among your team members, among everyone who is involved in the task, from an associate level to a project manager. Create a supportive environment where ideas and concerns can be freely shared. Give equal importance to everyone. Try to create as many brainstorming sessions as you can so you can anticipate the problems and come up with a preventive solution. So that will also help you to execute the task faster. Once you do that, monitor the progress and provide the feedback. Whenever you feel the feedback needs to be provided, please give a constructive feedback to the person after you regularly monitor the progress of the delegated task. Again, you will have to make sure that you're not micromanaging the person, right? In case if he comes to you with any issue or a challenge, please have it addressed promptly, immediately, offer your assistance or adjust your delegation if required. Last but not least, celebrate the success and learn from mistakes. Yeah, very important, right? Acknowledge and celebrate the successful completion of the delegated task. Appreciate him. Encourage a learning culture within your team members by reviewing and discussing lessons you have learned from both successful and unsuccessful delegation experience. Trust me, unsuccessful delegation experiences will always lead as case studies. They will become, people will try to understand and come up with preventive measures to avoid those errors again and again. Right? Continuously improve the delegation process based on the feedbacks and insights. So this is what I have, for you today under this workshop of team management. And I'm here all ears for feedback and questions, if any.
Thank you, Sumit. Very insightful, covering almost every aspect. A lot of good insights, honestly. Initially, I thought looks like a theoretical, but you really engaged very well. All appreciation to you.
Thanks, Devendra. I'll work on that. Thank you so much for the appreciation. Yes, please.
It was very comprehensive, Sumit, and no time for distractions at all in these 3 hours. You kept us focused.
Yeah.
I second that. I really second that.
Second that, seriously. +1.
Thank you so much, Vibhanisha.
Usually, when you think about a time management class, you somehow at the back of the mind feel, oh God, it's going to be boring. But to be honest, it was not boring. Even, for a few seconds, it was not at all boring. You kept us engaged throughout. And I didn't know that we can take time management in such an entertaining manner.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. I'm glad, the efforts are well paid. Thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. Yeah. Yes, Tina. Okay. So thank you so much.
Sumit, I was just saying thank you to you. It was such a
Uh-huh.
wonderful training. I really like the content and the PPT.
Thank you, thank you, Tina. Thank you so much. Means a lot. Thank you. Okay, then thank you so much. I'm sorry that I took more 30 minutes of yours, but the efforts are well paid. I can see the happy
Worth it.
faces. Yeah. Thank you so much, and all the best for all of you. Thank you
Thank
once
you
again
so
for
much.
joining.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.